Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Health, Food and Drug Administration, International Service for the Acquisition of Agri-Biotech Applications, DOH Biosafety Committee, United States Department of Agriculture Foreign Agricultural Service, Central Luzon State University, and DA Biotechnology Program Office. And before we continue po today sa ating session, allow me to introduce one of our staff here in LBC, Sir Leonard Paulo Lucero, a Science Research Specialist 2 here at the Philippine Carabao Center, and he will do the recap of the topics that we have talked about yesterday. Morning po, Sir Pao.
Naririnig na po ba ako? Good morning po sa lahat po ng ating participants for this webinar workshop. Let me just start our second session po for the recap of yung kung ano po yung mga nangyari yesterday sa ating first session of the webinar series. So let me just share my screen po. Okay, good morning. Once again, good morning. Let me just give a short recap of the first session ng ating Livestock Biotechnology Center virtual seminar workshop on GM animals for Philippine Biotech Regulators. So yesterday, our first speaker, Dr. Ernelia Picao of UP Diliman, started our session with her topic of Introduction to Biotechnology, wherein the highlights of her presentation was, first off, was what is biotechnology. So she defined what is the traditional or versus modern biotechnology, in which in the traditional, she gave examples in which traditional biotech use beneficial bacteria like yeast, while in modern biotechnology, she mentioned that it utilizes the tools of molecular biotechnology. She also mentioned GMOs, yung the definitions of what are GMOs, or yung ating genetically modified organisms, which are one of the main products of our biotechnology. She also mentioned gene cloning and engineering and its application, like yung hormone treatment for stunted growth, blood clot dissolving proteins for our heart problems, gene insertion for pest resistance in plants. One of the best examples and one of the most appreciated na product ng gene insertion for pest resistance is yung ating BT corn or yung ating GM corn. And another is yung gene editing, which is, she mentioned also yung difference between homologous and non-homologous. She also mentioned yung animal biotechnology, in which one of the main biotechnology na ginagamit ng Livestock Biotechnology Center, yung use of animals due to similarities with humans. And most of the animal biotechnology breakthroughs that Dr. Cao mentioned was involved veterinary biologics and vaccine development. She also mentions some of the controversial examples, like yung cloning, transgenic animals, but mainly, syempre, sa part of the biotechnology, she mentioned yung benefits of GM animals naman, which includes faster growth, quicker to market or yung mas madaling ma-release, and healthier meat, and production of monoclonal antibodies for treatments na rin ng other diseases. And she also slightly mentioned yung issues and safety, which involve the safety assessment of foods derived from recombinant DNA animals, which was discussed by other speakers then from yesterday. So let me go to the next speaker for a recap of your yesterday's session. So the second speaker for yesterday was Dr. Evelyn May T. Mendoza, a professor emeritus, also from UPLB. She discussed the scope of agricultural biotechnology, and in which she highlighted yung which is yung global biotechnology market. Kung makikita natin, as we can see, it valued 270.5 billion with a very very large expected growth of 12.3% by the year 2020, which includes biopharmacy, bioservices, bioagriculture, and bioindustrial. So she focused on the applications of modern biotechnology in agriculture, mainly in crop biotechnology and animal biotechnology. Wherein in crop biotechnology, she mentioned that mainly its applications were to express new traits not initially present in the germplasm of some species. This includes, gaya po na nung sabi ko kanina, yung BT corn, and another example is yung BT eggplant for improved pest resistance, improved shelf life for white mushrooms, yung which includes anti-browning, higher nutrient content like yung golden rice ng ating field rice, higher production yield for papaya, which are resistant to ring spot viruses, improve or modified physical attributes for ornamental like carnation plants, carnation flowers, sorry. And another is yung breed and diversity identification, which is, she mentioned yung DNA markers and DNA fingerprints. And she also mentioned niya yung transgenic animals like yung advantages used ng producing GM salmon, which involve increased growth rate and disease resistance. And also she mentioned yung enviropigs, which can process phosphorus, so mas lesser yung phosphorus content na nire-release through their fecal, which is less harmful sa ating environment. She also mentioned yung biofarm drugs, which is utilized biotechnology, DNA barcoding for species identification, DNA markers for determining genetically superior animals, and recombinant vaccines for immunization of animals from different diseases. And for the last speaker of our yesterday session, we had Ma'am Maria Lorili Agbagala, a DOST assistant scientist of and a head of the NBCP Head Secretariat, where she highlighted in her talk the ensuring of safety and biotech products, wherein she focused on the importance of regulating the regulations of genetically modified plants and animals and its products. And she also mentioned that the Philippines, na ang bansa po natin, ay meron ng regulation system na which is being implemented for 29 years now, the Philippine Biosafety Regulation System. So it is governed by the National Committee on Biosafety of the Philippines, or the NCBP, and this NCBP adapted its protocols from the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety, which some of the examples of international protocols that governs and regulates GMO products. One is yung Nagoya Kuala Lumpur Supplementary Protocol. And like what I have mentioned earlier, Ma'am Agbagala mentioned that the Philippines adapted most of its guidelines from the Cartagena Protocol. And she highlighted that the key factors for a more efficient regulation of GMOs is, firstly, is yung risk assessment. Next is yung environmental and health impact assessment, access to information, and one of the most important things she mentioned for the ensuring the safety of the biotech product is yung public awareness, education, and participant. So dapat involve yung most of the population. And second to the last is yung socio-economic and ethical cultural considerations, and the capacity building, or one of the good examples ng anong capacity building is ito pong ginagawa natin, yung mga workshop which we highlight the importance or the how do we regulate and what are the genetically modified organisms are. So from the open forum from yesterday's session, mostly nag-focus po yung ating mga speakers in answering the most common questions that are asked during like in topics like this, like yung what are the regulations of GMO, or how are they introduced to the public, that they are safe and safe to consume and safe to regulate in the public. So hopefully po, yan lang po yung ating, those are the three topics that were presented yesterday, and hopefully for the for today's session, we have additional 3 more topics and another 2 more topics for the third day. So I hope po we can learn more from our next line of speakers. Yeah, yun lang po. Thank you very much and good morning po sa ating lahat.
Thank you so much po, Sir Leonard Paula Lucena. And bago po tayo patuloy sa ating next topic, I'd like to share a few reminders lang po. First, please be informed that this workshop is being recorded, and while speakers are in session, you may send your comments and questions to the chat box down below. Please remember to indicate to whom you're addressing the question to. Also, in asking, you may introduce yourself at the end of the session. So I think everyone is ready to listen na po and learn from our invited resource speakers. With that, let us now proceed to our first speaker this morning. Our first speaker is a graduate in Bachelor of Science in Biology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Master of Arts of Teaching in Biology at UP Diliman as well. And she finished her PhD in Botany, major in Ecology, Physiology, minor in Environmental Studies at University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Dr. Alberto is a productive professor or researcher who has authored and co-authored numerous local, national, and international scientific publications. She then received several awards, such as Best Paper Award during the 2017 5th International Conference on Remote Sensing and Geoinformation of Environment given by Cyprus Remote Sensing Society in cooperation with ESA and NASA. She is currently working as a director of Institute of Climate Change and Environmental Management and university professor at Central Luzon State University. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the agricultural biotechnology and climate change, please join me in welcoming Dr. Annie Melinda Paz Alberto. Morning po, Doc. Doc. Morning po. Doc, nakamute po ata kayo.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes po, okay na po.
Okay, good morning to everyone. So, wait, I'll just, this is the beauty of technology. I can't, where is this?
Doc, yung ano lang po, yung sa slideshow po sa baba.
Oo,
Wala
hindi ko maayano eh.
Ayaw po?
Ano yung, yes.
Wait lang po.
Ayaw siya eh. There's a problem here. Wait. Okay.
Go. Yan po, go.
Okay na?
Yes.
Yan. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning po. Magandang maga po sa inyong lahat. So my topic for today is about agricultural biotechnology and climate change. So, okay po ba lahat? Naririnig ako po? Okay po. So, we all know that climate is changing and climate change has been the buzzword. This is the trend and sensation topic for years already. And you will ask, what is really climate change? So climate change is a change in climate which is more or less attributed directly to human activity. So it means that this could more or less alter or change the composition of the global atmosphere. And this is the definition of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So climate change affect not more than just a change in the weather, but also it also refers to the seasonal changes over a long period of time. So it means that climate patterns play a very important role in shaping the natural ecosystem as well as the economy and culture of the people which depend on the climate. So you are also hearing about El Nino and El Niño. So actually, these two phenomenon are not exactly the same, but they are closely related. Kumbaga, para silang magkapatid. And some people use the terms interchangeably. But global warming refers to the rising global temperature, while climate change includes changes in climate due to human activities as well as natural climate variability. So as if you we have experienced global rise in global temperature, and this also warming of the ocean lead to climate change affecting our rainfall patterns. We have now strong typhoons, torrential rains, droughts, and as well as sea level rise. Always remember that global warming is planet-wide, while climate change occurs at global also. Some are in continental areas, some are in regional areas and local levels. Always remember that global warming causes climate to change. So, in order for us to understand climate change is to understand the concept of greenhouse effect. Alam niyo po, yung greenhouse effect is yung rise ng temperature sa ating Earth because there are certain gases like methane, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide na nandito po sa ating atmosphere. And these trap energy from the sun. And this more or less now, keep us warm. Kasi po, pag walang mga greenhouse gases na yan sa ating atmosphere, ay super cool po ang ating Earth. So, ibig sabihin, wala pong mabubuhay na mga living organism kung ganito po ang ating temperatura. Kaya po, nakakatulong itong mga greenhouse gases na ito na tinatawag nating greenhouse gases kasi po sila yung nagtatrap ng heat from the sun. Pero ano po ang nangyayari, no? So ibig sabihin, parating yung tandaan na yung greenhouse gases na yan nakakatulong para tayo uminit dito sa mundo. Yan yung mayroong tinatawag na global warming. So ibig sabihin, yung heat na nakukuha natin sa sun, yan ay para mabuhay ang mga living organism. But what happens? There is now increase population, human population, and as global population grow, more and more people contribute to the increase of gases that is present now in the atmosphere. So these are now your greenhouse gases which are trapped here. So instead, hindi po ngayon makaalis yung mga greenhouse gases hindi po makaalis yung energy, no? Dahil natatakpan na po siya dito ng mga greenhouse gases. So ito po ang dahilan kung bakit tayo mayroong global warming na nagiging sanhi ng ating ang isa po yan ay yung ating mga greenhouse gases na dumami sa ating atmosphere. So ito po yung mga tinatawag nating mga causes of climate change. There are natural causes, and some of these are solar outputs, volcanic emission, continental drift, atmospheric reflectivity. Ito po ang mga natural causes. But there are now human-induced factors that cause climate change. And these are land conversion and development, greenhouse gas emission, and population growth. So, meron na po tayong 7.9 billion people living today. And this everyday, dumadami po yan. So it is clear that more humans means more greenhouse gas emissions. So in terms of land conversion and development, as makita nyo po dito, yung forest, there are now indication that there are more or less deforestation and more clearing of the forest, cutting of the trees, and this is now converted to agriculture. Some are converted to development, wherein you have resorts and others. So it means that in the Philippines, 20% of carbon dioxide emission were the result of land use. And because of deforestation, about 2.2% per year na po ang nagkakaroon ng land conversion. So, these are some of the contributors to climate change: deforestation. In agriculture, we have rice paddies, we have here cattle ranching, and also mining, as well as landfill. The use of fertilizers and other chemicals also release nitrous oxide, which today cause about 10% as much warming as carbon dioxide. So it means that what is happening in the world, wherein they have widespread cutting of the trees and land conversion, contribute to climate change, as well as the composition of the waste, because this more or less contribute to the emission of methane. And particularly, this is in the landfill as well as in our agriculture. So the influence of humans on the environment, particularly deforestation and fossil fuel consumption, has become so pervasive nowadays that the impacts now are no longer local, but it is now global in scale. So human-generated greenhouse gas emission in the form of carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, which result to changes in climatic patterns. So more or less, we could say now that these are the greenhouse gases, no, particularly carbon dioxide, that contributes about 55% to global warming, and the main sources are fossil fuel burning and deforestation, as well as other forms of land clearing and burning. Remember that carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere for about 500 years. And we could also say that the cutting and burning of trees produces a lot of carbon dioxide. And there is now an indication that there is a 25 to 30% increase during the last 100 to 120 years. So this is the graph that we could see that there is really an increase in carbon dioxide. Another greenhouse gas is what we call the CFCs, or the chlorofluorocarbons, and they are believed to be responsible for about 24% of the human contribution to greenhouse gases. Not only they are contributory to climate change, they are also contributory to ozone depletion in the stratosphere. So the main sources of these CFCs are leaking air conditioners, refrigerators, evaporation of industrial solvents, production of plastic foams, and the propellants. So as you will see now that the new aircon and the new refrigerators, you could see that they are CFC free kasi binan na po ang CFC dahil nga po sila ay nagdi-deplete ng ozone layer dun sa atmosphere. And we hope that kokonti na lang ang gumagamit kasi po pangalawa sila sa nagko-contribute ng greenhouse gas, believed to be a contributory factor to climate change. Now the third is methane, which accounts for about 18% ng greenhouse gases. So ito po yung methane na nagpo-produce pag po yung mga bacteria nagbe-break down dead organic matter. So particularly, ito po ay present sa mga swamps, sa mga natural wetlands natin, mga rice paddies natin, sa landfill, at yung pong incomplete burning ng organic materials. Yan po ang sources ng methane. At ang pang-apat po ay ang nitrous oxide. Responsible yan to 6 to 10% of human input of greenhouse gases. Contributory din po siya sa ozone depletion. So yung CFC at saka nitrous oxide, ito po yung dalawang greenhouse gas na aside from the climate change, nag-co-contribute din siya sa pagkawala ng ozone layer natin sa ating atmosphere. So ang sources nito ay nylon production, burning of biomass, as well as breakdown ng nitrogen fertilizer sa soil at ang tinatawag nating mga waste ng livestock. And also yung mga nitrate contaminated groundwater. So those are the four important greenhouse gases that are more or less contribute a lot of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So these are the global manifestations of these greenhouse gases. We have now increased in temperature. As you could see here in the graph, that there is a steep increase since the mid-20th century that is causing worldwide concern nowadays. Sorry, what happened? And also, we have now uneven distribution of rainfall. And as you could see here, there is now a change in average precipitation from 1986 to 2005, and in the future, 2081 to 2100. So also, there is an indication there is now a slight increase in the number of tropical cyclones. So ibig sabihin po, mas dumadami na ang malalakas na bagyo na dumarating dito sa ating mundo. And sea level rise ay isa na pong indication na talaga pong sa mga coastal areas, evidence na po ang sea level rise. Actually po, doon sa recent study namin in Zambales, there is now an indication of sea levels in the part of Masinloc and Santa Cruz, as well as doon sa Alaminos and Morong, Alaminos, Pangasinan, and Morong, Bataan. So, our country is vulnerable, no? Actually, to this extreme events. So, from the Pag-asa, we could see that our temperature is also increasing to an increase of 0.65 centigrade, and there is an average of 0.01 degrees centigrade per year increase in the Philippines. And yung trends po ng ating tropical cyclone also that passed the Philippine area of responsibility show that there is now an average of 20 tropical cyclones that cross the PAR per year. And also from the Pag-asa, they said that the reduction in rainfall, particularly during the summer months, March, April, and May, increased rainfall during June, July, and August until the months of September, October, and November, and likely to increase also during the months of December, January, and February. Noon po, hindi naman December, January, and February, but now they said that there is an indication that rainfall also occurred during these months. So climate change threatens food security, particularly the occurrence of the stronger typhoons, the sea level rise, as well as occurrence of more drought and floods that affect our country. And uh, agriculture is one of the significant source of greenhouse gases. So yung pong pressure ng pag-increase natin ng agricultural production, kasi po sa pagdami din ng ating population, as well as yung industrialization natin, nag-i-increase po ito ng production ng greenhouse gases. So, ito pong methane, particularly sa rice and livestock production, yan po ay indikasyon na ang agriculture ay source ng ating mga greenhouse gases. Yung paggamit po natin ng fertilizer and burning of agricultural waste, it contribute to nitrous oxide. As well as yung pong land use change natin, yung mga land conversion natin, this contributes to carbon dioxide emission. To agriculture contributed to about 47%. And then next is the contribution of nitrous oxide, which is from the fertilized soil, contribute about 17%, followed by methane and biomass burning. And this methane comes from cattle and dairy plantation. So what are the effects of climate change on agriculture? So it means that if we have high temperature, some of the crops will be affected, particularly in terms of water shortages, and also there will be low yield because of the effect of high temperature. Certain weeds may expand the range of their latitude habitats. In terms of physical impacts, there will be effect of the drought and flood events. Sea level rise will threaten low-lying lands as well as agricultural areas, and also soil erosion will affect more or less the nutrient-rich soil in various terrestrial ecosystems. And then also groundwater resources are projected to decline, as well as because of effect of climate change to the different crops in our farm, there will be increase of nutrient and pest control input. So it means that this could be some of the impacts in the agriculture. And the monoculture farming will be more or less vulnerable to climate change compared to multi-crop and biodiversity-based farming. And predicted changes because there will be more occurrence of pests and diseases in the farm because of the impacts of climate change also. Likewise, natural vegetation will also be affected, and particularly the species distribution and species diversity in the natural vegetation because of climate change. For the livestock impacts, pests, parasites, and pathogens on cropland may increase. It can also increase the livestock death in some regions, and forage production may be expanded as growing season lengthen. In terms of indirect impacts, the agricultural industry may also be affected because more people now will favor environment-friendly products. So these are some of the impacts to the agriculture. So if you have increased frequency and severity of extreme weather events, of course, there will be low yield, loss of livestock, damage to fisheries, there will be shortage of water, disruption of food supply chain. If you have rising temperature, more or less the same impacts, because this could also affect the different crops which result to low yield. There will be threats to livestock health. There will be threats also to human health. There will be threats to of wildfire in case of having higher temperature. If in terms of erratic rainfall, this could affect the quality of the yield, which could more or less have either an excess or shortage of water and greater need for irrigation. And the impact of sea level rise, of course, damage to coastal fisheries and salinization of water resources. So these are the other consequences of climate change on agriculture in our country. There will be degradation of soil, nutrient imbalance, alteration of land use, changes in the severity and distribution of diseases, decline in the quality and quantity of water resources, competition of water resources, salinization of soil, deterioration of water supplies, and of course, damage or loss of resource bases. There will be decrease of crop yield, low yield, and productivity of crops and livestock, and also change in livestock pest distribution. So, in terms of what I have discussed to you, food security is likely to threaten some regions, particularly some of the regions will experience food shortages and hunger, water resources will be affected, and physical infrastructure may be damaged, particularly due to the sea level rise and extreme weather events. Economic activities, human health, human settlements also will be affected. But take note, the poor and the disadvantaged are the most vulnerable to the negative consequences of climate change. So, there is now a call for action for the climate smart agriculture. So what is climate smart agriculture? So according to FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, this is a type of agriculture that sustainably increases agricultural productivity. This also enhances resilience to climate change as well as reduces and remove greenhouse gas where possible in order to enhance and achieve food security and development goals. Take note, CSA aims to enhance the capacity of agriculture system to food security, incorporate the need of the farmers for climate change adaptation and mitigation in order to achieve sustainable agriculture. CSA also proposes for more integrated approaches in order for us to attain food security and in order for farmers to adapt to climate change and also in order for them to mitigate climate change. So these are the three pillars of the climate smart agriculture: sustainably increases productivity and income of the farmers, strengthen resilience to climate change, as well as reduce agriculture's contribution to climate change. So these are the three pillars. Once again, I would like to emphasize that in terms of productivity, CSA aims to sustainably increase agricultural productivity and incomes from crops, livestock, and fish without having a negative impact on the environment. Secondly, in terms of adaptation, CSA aims to reduce the exposure of farmers to short-term risks, strengthening their resilience to climate change, to protect the ecosystem services in order for them that the ecosystem or the agro-ecosystem provide farmers more or less a better area in order for them to achieve more productivity. And these are services essential for them to adapt also to climate change. And third, The third pillar is mitigation, that CSA should help to reduce or remove greenhouse gases emission, to avoid deforestation from agriculture, to manage soil and trees in ways that maximizes their potential to act as carbon sink and absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So as you could see here, these are more or less examples of multi-cropping or biodiversity-based farming in order for the farmers to mitigate climate change. So once again, to emphasize CSA, this CSA help farmers build resilience to adapt to climate change. It increases agricultural production and income, reduces greenhouse gases. And in order to achieve this, the CSA advocates the use of farmers' local knowledge to ensure easy adaptation. However, in terms of agricultural biotechnology, there are a lot of evidences now that the application of biological organism in this agricultural biotechnology could help a lot in climate change adaptation and mitigation. So I will not elaborate more on this because other speakers or resource people have discussed to you about the agricultural biotechnology, but my topic is more or less the relationship of bio or the role of biotechnology for climate change adaptation and mitigation. And a lot of studies have indicated that this could reduce greenhouse gases. The use of biofuels can more or less help in the mitigation of climate change. It also helps in sequestering carbon. Less use of fertilizers due to the use of the GMOs could more or less mitigate climate change. And there are now GM products or other biotechnology products that could tolerate abiotic and biotic stress. So this green biotechnology offers a solution to more or less decrease the greenhouse gases and mitigate climate change. Also, biotech crops for the last 16 years of commercialization have been contributing to the reduction of carbon dioxide emission because they allow farmers to use less energy, and these are environment friendly products and practice soil carbon sequestration. The herbicide tolerant biotech crops also, such as the soybean and canola, facilitate zero or no till, which significantly reduce the loss of soil carbon. So this is an indication of carbon sequestration, less CO2 emission, reduce fuel use, and reduce soil erosion. And then another is the insect-resistant biotech crops, which require fewer pesticide spray and result in saving fossil fuel and thus less CO2 emission. In 2011, there was a reduction of about 37 million kilogram of active ingredients, which decreased the rate of herbicide and insecticide spray and reduce carbon dioxide emission by 23.1 billion kilograms of CO2, which is equivalent to removing 10.2 million cars off the road. So, the planting GMOs do not need as much as maintenance as regular crops. Because of that, it results to reduction of greenhouse gases. And the simple yet effective implementation of GMO in farming lead farmers to expand less fuel, leading to the reduction of greenhouse gases. Another is use of energy efficient farming. This production of biofuels, both from traditional and GMO crops such as the oilseed, the sugarcane, the rapeseed, and jatropha, reduce the adverse effects of pollution by the transport sector. And efficient farming will help clean the atmosphere through the plantation of perennial non-edible oilseed. So in this case, this help reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. And the GMO also led to carbon sequestration from the atmosphere. And one of the example is the Roundup Ready TM, which is a herbicide-resistant soybean that was found to sequester 63,859 million tons of carbon dioxide in the US and Argentina. So this now open doors for the farmers to use no-till farming also. And if you use no-tillage practice in the context of climate change, this can mitigate climate change because this can improve soil quality and anchor carbon in the soil. Another is the is by using genetic engineering. This is another strategy in planting crops, which is GMO like the canola. And this now led to the less use of uh, nitrogen, which more or less improve the profitability of the farmers. So these are some of the agricultural biotechnology that could help in climate change mitigation. And as you could see here in the table, these are the ways wherein they could assist in climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. And these are the different types of biotechnology that can be used and the application or the products. So in terms of climate change mitigation, we have reduced use of fertilizer, and the biotechnology will be the no-till practices and agroforestry. This is the traditional biotechnology. Carbon sequestration is the biofuel production. And in terms of climate change adaptation to biotic and abiotic stress is the use of biotechnology. This is the traditional one. And in terms of modern agricultural biotechnology, we have engineering herbicide resistance to reduce spraying. The products are the GM soybeans and GM canola. Reduce use of fertilizer also is the engineering sequestration in terms of the green energy and nitrogen efficient GM crops and the use of this nitrogen efficient GM canola. Another, for less fuel consumption, you can use engineering herbicide resistance to reduce spraying. Once again, the GM soybeans and GM canola. Engineering insect resistance to reduce spraying, the BT maize, cotton, and eggplants. Reduce fertilizer uses through the use of engineering nitrogen fixation. And the products that they use is the genetic improvement of rhizodium, inducing nitrogen fixation to non-legumes. And in terms of carbon sequestration, the use of no-till farming due to biotechnological advances, as well as the use of green energy and nitrogen-efficient GM crops. So we could say now that crops can be modified conventional crops, thus hastening implementation of strategies to meet the rapid and severe climatic changes. We can say also that pest and disease-resistant biotech crops have been developed as new pests and diseases emerge with changes in climate. Resistant varieties will also reduce pesticide application, and this now contribute now to lessening carbon dioxide emission. And crop tolerant to various abiotic stresses have also been developed in response to climatic changes. Transgenic plants that carry genes for water stress management also have been developed. Transgenic crops that carry different drought-tolerant genes are being developed in rice, wheat, maize, sugarcane, tomato, papaya, potato, and others. So these, once again, are some of the climate change adaptation through modern agricultural biotechnology approach. So in terms of adaptation to biotic and abiotic stresses, we have these different types of technologies. Molecular marker assisted breeding in order for the crops to have stress resistance, engineering drought tolerance, engineering salt tolerance, engineering heat tolerance. These are for adaptation to different stresses. Another is adaptation to climate change, molecular marker assisted breeding for stress resistance. Adaptation, once again, to biotic and abiotic stress is more or less through the use of the GM tomato and rice, improve productivity, increase crop yield per unit area of land by using fungal, bacterial, and viral resistant GM cassava, potato, bananas, maize, and canola. And there are other agricultural technology that were used already by the different farmers in terms of adaptation to climate change. So they have used heat-resistant varieties. They use improved farming. They more or less practice biodiversity-based farming, and some of the technology also that they use are the hydroponics for improvement of agricultural production. Some heat-resistant varieties, diversified farming, intercropping, crop rotation, use of short-term varieties, use of drought-resistant crops, use of adaptable species, use of appropriate variety of planting materials, shift to more tolerant crops, use of drought-resistant crops, use of prescribed fungicide and pesticide, choose varieties with high yields and tolerance to flooding. And they also, in terms of mitigation, they improve already their fertilizer management, crop diversification, improve feed management through the use of high quality feed, the use of biodigesters, and composting of livestock manure. They improve water management, rice straw management, improve management of fertilizers, and the use of waste management, landfill management, and waste-to-energy technologies. In the forestry sector, they use community-based forestry management, the RED and the National Greening Program, which more or less could mitigate greenhouse gases because of more or less this could absorb carbon dioxide. So there is now a new technology which they called myco-biotechnology. And this is a fungal application of biotechnology which used mainly for solving environmental problems and restore degraded ecosystem, particularly in the forest. So they use endo and ectomycorrhizal symbionts fungi together with actinomycetes. And they use this as inoculants for regeneration of degraded forests. So if this could be used in our country, this could more or less help in the restoration of our degraded forests. So they said that the mycorrhizal fungi and the bacteria can be applied with the aim of increasing soil fertility and improving water uptake of the plants. Now, I just want to share our result because we more or less conducted study in order to more or less determine the impacts of climate change and also adaptation strategies of rice agroecosystem in Nueva Ecija. So we conducted in 10 municipalities and areas in Nueva Ecija, and they are already experiencing climate change in terms of increase in temperature, stronger typhoons, increase in total rainfall, the frequent typhoons, increase in rainfall duration and occurrence of tornado, and also effects of climate change in terms of decreased crop yield because of um, the impacts of increased growth of weeds and wider distribution of weeds in the area. And of course, the increase and occurrence of different pests and diseases in their farms. And you could see that they have now ulmog, ulalangaw, harabas, and then the catworms, increase also a population of rats, snails, and weeds. And they have also diseases like tungro, spot, sheet blight, rice blot, bakane. And in terms of adaptation, you will note here that the farmers are already using different types of varieties. Particularly during dry season, they use these varieties. And during rainy season, they use this RC10, Angelica, because they have stronger stalks. No? And also, they are practicing already polyculture, crop rotation, and early planting to enable early harvesting. In terms of water, they use deep well. They make canal and barrier to minimize the effect of overflowing of river due to heavy rainfall or typhoon. They also substitute and change crops already. So you could see that these are some of the indigenous knowledge of the farmers in order for them to adapt to climate change and more or less practice what we call the climate smart agriculture. They use multi-cropping, they use organic fertilizer and polyculture. You could see here that this Angelica and R82, they use this during the wet season, and a lot of varieties where they use for the dry season. And crop rotation, substitution, or change of crop, corn as a substitute for rice, and adjustment of timing of planting and harvesting. And also in Bongabong, they have polyculture, crop rotation, early planting, early harvesting. And once again, they use rice varieties such as this during dry season, RC14, RC28, and then this RC82 during the wet season. And from this, we could learn from the farmers that they are already practicing climate smart agriculture and some of the agricultural biotechnology products. So we could say that sound application of modern biotechnology will help to counteract climate-related problems and thereby securing crop production for fast-growing population. Approach to safe application of modern agricultural biotechnologies will contribute to increased yield, and also it will significantly contribute to climate change adaptation and mitigation initiatives. Therefore, we could say that agricultural biotechnology can ultimately play a very important role in climate smart agriculture, particularly in the improvement of agricultural productivity, attaining food security, protecting our environment from adverse effects of climate change. Others are improvement of farm management. I just want to emphasize this, that we should use organic farming and biodiversity-based farming, particularly in terms of climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies. promotion of policies to improve the production and distribution system, more efficient use of energy resources, more effective control of the production of synthetic chemicals, more effective regulation of land use must be developed, minimize the greenhouse gas emissions of energy production by conserving our energy, use clean and renewable energy in the transport section, promoting mass transit system and promotion of walking and biking and improvement of your vehicles technical efficiency. And in the forestry sector, we must plant trees in order for us to more or less mitigate climate change for carbon sequestration. Strict implementation of the Clean Air Act and effective policies should be implemented to improve food security. Legislation of measure for land use conversion must be done. Research measure to address the improvement of policies on production, processing, storage, transport, and marketing of agricultural products. So, this is just uh, more or less in order for you, we must think globally, but we must act locally. All of us need our cooperation in order for us to help in the climate change mitigation, particularly in reducing our carbon footprint. Thank you very much and good day.
Thank you so much po, Doc Anina Linda Paz Alberto, sa inyo pong informative presentation about climate change, which affects more than just a change in the weather, and it also refers to long-term period effects and natural causes, more humans, more greenhouse gas emission, global manifestation, sea level rise, climate change threatens our food security, agriculture as a source of greenhouse gases, effects of climate change to agriculture and low yield, higher temperature, large soil erosion, and more. Thank you so much po, Doc. Madami po talagang natutunan ng ating mga participants sa inyong presentation. Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, bago po tayo magpatuloy at mag-proceed sa ating next speaker, gusto ko lang pong magpasalamat ulit sa ating mga participants from the Department of Agriculture, Regional Field Office 2, DARFO 5, DARFO 8, DARFO 12, DARFO Cordillera Administrative Region, DA Bureau of Animal Industry, DA Philippine Carabao Center, DA Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, DA Carino Experiment Station, DA RFO2 Nueva Vizcaya Experiment Station, Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Health, Food and Drug Administration, International Service for the Acquisition of Agri-Biotech Applications, DOH Biosafety Committee, United States Department of Agriculture Foreign Agricultural Service, Central Luzon State University, and the ABPO or DA Biotechnology Program Office. Thank you po sa inyong lahat. And ano po, before po ulit tayo mag-proceed pala, if may mga questions na po kayo kay Doc Alberto po, pwede nyo na pong i-send sa ating chat box below para mamaya po, tuloy-tuloy na lang po tayo sa ating open forum. Thank you po. Okay, so for our second speaker, he is a policy and planning specialist. His work includes biotechnology and biosafety policy, government organization, and formulation of national development plans. He has a professional experience in providing management and technical support in coordinating activities related to policy formulation, capacity and constituency building, advocacy, and public awareness. He obtained his doctorate degree in public administration from UP Diliman, where he also took his master's in statistics and in public administration, major public policy. He is currently a professorial lecturer at NCPAG, where he handles policy analysis, undergraduate and graduate courses on research methods. He was formerly an associate professor at the New Era University, where he taught for 27 years. He is the current executive secretary of the Biotechnology Coalition of the Philippines, a nonprofit organization working for the safe and responsible use of modern biotechnology in the Philippines to serve national development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the agricultural biotechnology and organic agriculture, let us all hear from Sir Abraham J. Manalo. Morning po. Sir Abraham. Morning po.
Mitch, can you now hear me? Narinig niyo na ba ako?
Yes po, yes po.
Okay, thank you. Maraming salamat. I will be sharing my screen.
Thank you po.
Salamat ha. So I hope you can see my screen. At the topic that I'll be discussing today is on agricultural biotechnology, organic agriculture, and the principle of coexistence. So mahalaga ho itong ating mga topics na ito because these are farming systems, important as they are, but ang tanong natin ay can they coexist? O sa ating lengguwahe, sila ba'y pwede magkasundo? So yun ang ating pag-uusapan. So the presentation will be divided into 3 portions. Ang una ho ay pag-uusapan natin ng organic agriculture. Then we will discuss agricultural biotechnology as it has relevance in our particular topic. Then we will discuss paano sila pagsamahin o hindi dapat pagsamahin. So ganun ho ang takbo ng ating pag-uusap. Oops. Yan. Organic agriculture, the first subtopic. So, ano ba ang organic agriculture? Lagi natin narinig to. Pati kanina kay Dr. Alberto, narinig natin na malaking tulong sa climate change mitigation ng organic agriculture. So what is organic agriculture? This is the official definition of the Food and Agriculture Organization. Sa United Nations body ho, para rin siyang gobyerno eh. Meron nangangasiwa sa kalusugan niya yung World Health Organization. So ngayon sikat ang WHO sa pandemic situation. Sa UN system, meron din ho nangangasiwa sa agrikultura at sa pagkain. Ito yung katumbas ng ating Department of Agriculture, the FAO. Anong sabi ng FAO about the definition of organic agriculture? Sabi nila, there are many explanations and definitions for organic agriculture. Totoo ho yan. Maraming definition ng organic agriculture. But all converge to state that it is a system that relies on ecosystem management. So, yung kabuang environmental system rather than external agricultural inputs. It is a system that begins to consider potential environmental and social impacts by eliminating the use of ano yung mga bagay na ayaw ng organic agriculture. Synthetic inputs such as synthetic fertilizer and pesticides, veterinary drugs, genetically modified seeds and breeds, preservatives, additives, and irradiation. So ito yung mga bagay na hindi pinapayagan ng organic agriculture. These are replaced with site-specific management practices that maintain and increase long-term soil fertility and prevent pests and diseases. Tapos I'm quoting here a statement by the FAO WHO Codex Commission stated in 1999 that's still relevant today. Organic agriculture is a holistic production management system which promotes and enhances agro-ecosystem health, including biodiversity, biological cycles, and soil biological activity. It emphasizes the use of management practices in preference to the use of off-farm inputs. Kaya nga nakita ko sa kanya sa isa sa mga catchword ni Dr. Alberto kanina ay sabi niya ay we think global but we use local. Ganun ho ang organic agriculture. You use local inputs hanggat maaari. In-farm inputs. Taking into account that regional conditions require locally adapted systems. This is accomplished by using, where possible, agronomic, biological, mechanical methods as opposed to using synthetic materials to fulfill any specific functions within the system. Ang next slide will be showing the definition of IFOAM or IFOAM. Ano yung IFOAM? Alam niyo ho, ang organic agriculture is a system that is being promoted and being formulated not only by regulatory bodies but more so by the private sector. Third-party accreditation. Hindi katulad ng ibang regulation, ang nagpapatakbo nito ay gobyerno or international standard-setting bodies. Pero sa organic agriculture, kadalasan at karamihan sa mga pinapatupad dito ay mismong private sector ang nagsusulong. Private sector ang nagtayo at private sector ang nagsusulong. Hindi lang mga private companies kundi pati mga non-governmental organization. So ito ho ang IFOAM. Ano itong IFOAM? Itong International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movements. This is an international NGO na sila yung nagsusulong ng organic agriculture globally at sila yung number one NGO na nagsusulong ng adoption ng organic standards sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. So yan yung IFOAM. Ganun kahalaga ang IFOAM. Ganun din ho sila kapangyarihan. So what is the definition of organic agriculture according to IFOAM? It is a production system that sustains the health of soils, ecosystem, and people. Makikita nyo, may similarity sa FAO definition kanina. It relies on ecological processes, biodiversity, and cycles adapted to local conditions rather than the use of inputs with adverse effects. My apologies. Organic agriculture combines tradition, innovation, and science to benefit the shared environment and promote fair relationship and good quality of life for all involved. Tapos meron silang 4 principles na promote tong IFOAM. The principle of health. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Organic agriculture in general should sustain and enhance the health of the soil, the plant, the animal, humans, and the planet as one and indivisible. Kaya nga holistic ang term nila. The principle of ecology, the whole of environment approach, should be based on the living ecological systems and cycles. Work with them, emulate them, and help sustain them. The principle of fairness, agriculture should build on relationships that ensures fairness with regards to the common environment and life opportunities. And the principle of care, It should be managed in a precautionary approach or principle, and it should be in a responsible manner to protect the health and well-being of current and future generations and the environment. So kung mapapansin niyo ho, ang organic agriculture is more than a science. Ulitin ko the organic agriculture system is more than a science. It is a holistic thinking that goes beyond the principles of science. Kaya nga sabi ito, principles of fairness, of care. So, yan pa lang makikita nyo na there is some divergence with modern agricultural biotechnology. Kasi sa modern agricultural biotechnology, mahalaga dito ang principles of science. Not only in the use and in the production of GM crops, even in the ensuring that these products are safe to humans, animals, and the environment. Ang principles na ginagamit sa safety ng GM crops is science. So doon pa lang makikita nyo, magkaiba ho ng metric, magkaiba ng panukat. Kung ang isa is really science-based, which is modern biotechnology, yung isa naman is organic agriculture goes beyond science. So mahalaga yung distinction na yan later when we discuss the principle of coexistence. Sa Philippines, using the FAO definition, guidelines, and even also the standards that were developed by IFOAM, ang Philippines under our Bureau of Agriculture fishery standards. Nabago na ho yan. During that time, 2003, ang BAFS may P. Pero napalitan na yung batas, lalo na yung pinatupad yung Food Safety Act, yung BAFS, tinatanggal na yung P, BAFS na lamang, Bureau of Agriculture and Fishery Standards. So yung BAFS ang nagpapatupad ng food and agriculture standards sa Pilipinas. Kasabay nila yung Bureau of Product Standards ng Department of Trade and Industry. And under BAFS noong 2003, naglabas na sila ng PNS, Philippine National Standards for Organic Agriculture. So ito yung nagtatakda, ano ba yung standards na gagamitin natin sa Pilipinas for organic agriculture para ang produkto mo ay matawag na, ay ma-certify na organic agriculture. So ito ho, there are several parts ng PNS, ng Philippine National Standards, but there are three important parts for our particular discussion. The first one is for crops. Sa section 4.1.8, sabi dito, the use of genetically engineered seeds or GE seeds, transgenic plants, or plant materials is not allowed for organic agriculture to be certified. So kung gusto niyo ma-certify yung inyong organic produce, hindi kayo pwedeng gumamit ng GE or GM seeds, plants, or planting materials. Next, yung section 4.4.1, sabi dito, di ba sabi kayo, kung mapansin nyo kanina, very strong ang organic agriculture sa soil environment, sa soil health. Sabi dito, for compost activation, appropriate plant-based preparations or microorganism preparations, not GM, that are not genetically modified, may be used to hasten the composition of organic residues. Again, the emphasis of not using GM materials. Kahit na dun sa composting na gagamitin for organic input. That is for crops. Ito yung dalawang section on crops na sinasabi ayaw nila ng GM. For livestock, ano yung sinasabi ng PNS? Sabi, on animal breeds and breeding, the use of genetically engineered species or breeds is not allowed. So, hindi ho pwede yung mga dinidevelop ngayon, halimbawa, yung GM salmon, or hindi yan pwedeng ma-certify as GM fish under sa Philippine standards. Tapos under sa 4.4.7 section, sabi, the following product shall not be included nor added to the feed, the animal feed, or in any other way to be given to farm animals. So marami yan. Halimbawa, yung mga synthetic materials, yung synthetic man-made, not found naturally sa kalikasan. At isa sa mga nakalagay doon na hindi pwedeng gamitin ay genetically engineered organisms or product thereof. Again, kita nyo, may pattern. Ayaw talaga ng organic agriculture, pati sa livestock use ng GM, modern biotechnology. Sa 4.4.9, generally no synthetic chemical fodder preservatives are allowed. The following may be used alternatively. So pwede nyo gamitin kapalit ng chemical fodder ng preservative, kapalit ng synthetic preservative. Ano yon? Bacteria, fungi, enzymes, unless these enzymes, this bacteria, or this fungi has been genetically engineered. So bawal din. And finally, sa vaccinations, maraming gumagamit ng vaccines to control animal pests. Diba? Huli ba? So, GE live viral vaccines shall not be used. Para bang, may ma-develop na vaccine sa ASF ngayon, very important animal pest ngayon. Tapos ang ginamit, yung ginagamit ngayon na technique sa pag-develop ng ating current COVID-19 vaccines. Marami dito ay gumagamit ito ng process of genetic ng modern biotechnology. Diba? mRNA technology ng Moderna at ng Pfizer. Pati rin yung ibang vaccines. Ginagamit na ngayon ay gene technology. Kung gagamitin natin yung teknolohiya na yon sa pag-produce ng viral vaccine sa hayop at halimbawa against Asian swine flu, fever, hindi natin ito magagamit. Hindi natin magagamit ito kung gusto natin ma-certify ang ating baboy as organic pig. So kita niyo yung pattern sa organic agriculture, very strong sila against the use of modern biotechnology, aside from synthetic fertilizer, pesticide, and others. Next, doon naman sa processing, we're still here dun sa Philippine National Standards for Organic Agriculture. Sa processing, sabi dito, sa 4.1.4 on post-harvest operations, GMOs and their products are not allowed. So hindi kayo pwede talaga gumamit ng GM products for your post-harvest operations. Sa post naman sa 4.4.1 on the ingredients used for agricultural origin in cases when an ingredient of agricultural origin which is listed in Appendix 6 nitong PNS is not available in sufficient quantity or quality from organic origin, so may exemption, you can use non-organic raw materials, except if it is GE. So exemption to the exemption is if it is GE. So ganun ka-strong yung anti-biotech bias ng organic agriculture. Preparations of microorganisms and enzymes normally used in food processing may be used except for genetically engineered microorganisms and their products. Ngayon parang gusto kong banggitin sa inyo mga kasama, this is not an issue of safety. All products of modern biotechnology have been rigorously assessed globally in particular jurisdictions, and very rigid yung assessment, very rigid pati sa Pilipinas. And this has been assessed as safe to the humans, animals, and the environment. But in spite of that, ang sabi ng organic agriculture, no, no, no. We will not use modern biotechnology. Bakit? Sabi ko nga ho sa inyo, organic agriculture goes beyond science. Ito yung kanilang pananaw. Ito yung kanilang standards. Sana maliwanag sa atin ho yun. Sapagkat sa organic agriculture, mas gusto nila yung in-farm inputs. At halimbawa, sinasabi nila, karamihan sa mga GM crops ay developed using industrial technologies na hindi naakma sa pananaw namin na local agriculture. So, isa sa dahilan ho yan. So, it's beyond science, yung pananaw ng organic agriculture. So, ang next couple of slides, pag-usapan natin gano'n na ba kalawak ang organic agriculture at lumalawak po siya. Pero hindi pa siya gano'n kalawak. So, dito sa next slide na to, tingnan natin, in the world, globally, ano ba yung organic agricultural land? At saan ito matatagpuan sa mundo? So, ito yung ating pag-uusapan itong sa slide nito. Mapapansin nyo, there are the regions, Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, North America, tsaka Oceania. At ganito kalawak ko, globally ang total is 72 million hectares. So medyo malawak na po siya. 72 million hectares. Pero a significant portion, halos kalahati ng organic agricultural land ay nasa Oceania. Mamaya paliwanag pa natin na mas malalim yan. So halos kalahati ay nasa Oceania. At more than 1/5 ay nasa Europe. Kasi sa Europe medyo may kaya ang mga tao doon, kaya nilang mag-organic agriculture. At maliit lamang yung sa Africa kasi mas kailangan ng Africa dito ang agricultural productivity. Ngayon pa lang sabihin ko sa inyo, hindi ganoon kataas ang yield ng organic agriculture kahit i-compare niyo, wag na sa biotech farming, natin i-compare sa ngayon. Kahit na sa conventional farming, hindi ganoon kataas ang yield ng organic agriculture. Kasi nga hindi siya gumagamit ng synthetic pesticide, synthetic fertilizer. So hindi ganoon kataas. So hindi kataka-taka na sa Africa kung saan napakahalaga ng agricultural production kasi mataas doon yung pangailangan ng pagkain. Mababa ang organic agriculture sa Africa. Sa North America, mababa rin hindi ganun kataas ang gamit ng organic agriculture kasi ang farming system nila doon is heavily industrialized. Ekta-ektarya ang mga farms doon. So hindi ganun kataas ang share ng organic agriculture. Sa Asia, ganun din, hindi ganun kataas, lalo-lalo na doon sa labas sa China. So itong 8.2 malaki yan sa China. Tapos yun, tulad na sinabi natin kanina, malaking bahagi dito ay sa Europe dahil sa kanilang uri ng pamumuhay, saka sa Oceania, paliwanag ko mamaya bakit. So next. Kailangan pala tanggalin ko yung laser pointer para makamove ako sa kasunod. So next, ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo mga kasama na sa regions. So kita nyo, halos kalahati ay sa Oceania, maliit na bahagi sa Africa, maliit din na bahagi sa North America. Ito yung Canada and US, tsaka Mexico, yan ang North America. Asia 8%, Latin America, Southern and Central America ho ito ay 11%. Tapos around 23% ang Europe. At ang Oceania ay 50%. At malaking bahagi sa Oceania ay sakop ng Australia. So malaking bahagi ho nitong Oceania ay sakop ng Australia. So malaking bahagi ng lugar ng organic agriculture sa mundo ay nasa Australia. At bakit? Pakita nyo mamaya. Sapagkat the distribution of organic areas This is 2019. This is the latest figure based on the mismong IFOAM study ito, 2021. Kalalabas lang itong study nila. So, 67% or 2/3 ay agricultural land and agricultural crops. So these are plant and plant products. 2/3. Tapos 1/3 ay wild collection. Ito yung mga wild collection. Halimbawa, wild collection yung beekeeping, very significant. Tinan nyo. Marami kasi sa mundo, malaki kasi sa mundo ang market ng organic honey. Kaya malaking pinagagamitan ng organic agriculture ay sa organic beekeeping. Ganun din may organic forest. Ito yung mga virgin forest na tsaka hindi ginagamitan ng forest plantation. Yung nagtatanim kayo nagtatanim para yung forest cover balikan yung yung nakalbo. Ito ay virgin forest. Aquaculture is also part of the non-agricultural areas. Pag-usapan natin mamaya yan. Then the grazing areas or the non-agricultural land. Malaking bahagi niyan. Ito yung malaking bahagi sa Australia na sinasabi ko sa inyo. Kasi ito yung mga natural grazing areas na pakain nila sa kanilang mga sheep. Karamihan dito sheep, yung kanilang goats, pati rin sa New Zealand, pakain nila sa kanilang mga sheep. Halimbawa sa New Zealand, this is an interesting fact. Mas marami ang sheep kaysa sa tao. So ang ginagamit nila rito ay organic grazing areas. Bakit ho? Kasi pinapabayaan na lang nila. Hindi kailangan ng fertilizer, hindi kailangan ng pesticide sa grazing areas na ito. Kasi natural nang umuusbong ito sa kanilang sa mga malalaking lugar na hindi ganong matao. So yun yung dahilan bakit sa Oceania malaki yung porsyento ng organic agricultural land. Hindi dahil sa nagtatanim sila ng organic agriculture, kundi dahil sa may natural grazing areas doon. Doon naman sa 2/3, itong 67% mga kasama, this comprises of the arable land, ginagamit sa cereal production, grain fodders, oil seeds, etc. May permanent crops, lagi itong tinatamnan ng organic permanent crops kasi certified as organic at merong market ito globally itong mga crops na to. And cropland na walang details. Hindi nakakuha ng details about it. So, kita nyo mga kasama, itong next slide natin, ipinapakita in terms of total agricultural land, ano yung porsyento ng organic to the total land. At makikita nyo, globally, mga kasama, it's 1.5%. Medyo mababa. Kunyari, ang buong lawak ng kalupaan sa agriculture sa buong mundo ay 100 hectares. Kunyari, sabihin natin 100 hectares lang. 1.5 hectares lang dito ng 100 hectares ang organic agriculture. So medyo talaga mababa. At 9.6 sa Oceania, kasama dito yung Australia, 9.6% ng kanilang kalupaan sa agrikultura ay, so around 10% ay organic land. Can be classified as organic land. Pero sa ibang region, halimbawa sa Africa, ang liit nito. 0.2%. Ang liit nito. So, kunyari 100 hektarya ang buong mundo, wala pang 1 hektarya. Kundi 1/5 ng 1 hektarya. So ganun ng African land, 1/5 ng 1 hectare kung 100 hectares ang buong Africa. Ganun kaliit ang agricultural land. Next slide, tinitingnan ho natin dito ang lago ng percentage ng agricultural land compared sa total agricultural land. At pinapakita dito from 1999 hanggang 2019. So this is a 20-year trend analysis. Makikita nyo na tumataas naman from 0.3% globally ng total agricultural land. Ngayon, sabi nga natin kanina, it's 1.5 of the total agricultural land worldwide. Tapos, dito mag-concentrate naman tayo sa sa aquaculture. Kasi this is being itong ating webinar ay sponsored by the Livestock Biotech Center. Unfortunately, ang FIBL tong sa baba yung source ng ito yung katuwang ng IFOAM sa kanilang survey. Unfortunately, hindi sila nangangalap ng datos sa livestock organic agriculture. Wala pa silang ganung datos. Pero meron silang datos sa organic agriculture. So ito yung present natin ngayon. So summary muna bago yung mga graphics. A production volume of nearly 690,000 metric tons of organic aquaculture was reported in 2019, and according to data, aquaculture production is concentrated in Europe, Asia, particularly in China, 81%, and Europe, 15%. The largest production volume is in China, almost 561,000 metric tons, followed by Ireland and Chile. Yan. Pero may nabasa ako na may problema sa data gathering ng China, lalo na hindi ganoon kahusay yung kanilang production system. Unfortunately, alam naman natin ho yan, di ba? Unfortunately, sa China, hindi ganoon ka linis, or I should say, hindi ganoon kaayos ang kanilang production system. At alam natin yan, lalo sa kanilang food production system. Di ba? Halimbawa, isa sa dahilan bakit nagkaroon ng hindi pala isa sa dahilan. Ang dahilan bakit nagkaroon ng COVID-19 pandemic. Sabi ng siyensya, nanggaling sa isang province sa China, kung saan ang kanilang retail trade system ng pagkain, pinagpatong-patong nila yung mga cages ng wild animals. Nag-jump ang virus from one species to the other hanggang sa napunta sa tao. So ganoon, itong data na to sa China, may problema. May magsabi na may problema diyan. A breakdown by species was only available for 2/3 of the total production. According to available data, organic mussels are the most produced, followed by salmon, sturgeon, and the rainbow trout and carps. So ito yung graphics natin, mga kasama. Ito, organic agriculture, the volume by region. So pinakamalaki sa Asia at itong 81% sa Asia. At significant dito sa 81% na ito ay sa China. Sabi ko sa inyo. Then Europe gets 15%. Then a small proportion is from Latin America. And the remaining very, very small share is the rest of the world. So ito yung mga top countries. Ito yung mga top countries producing: China, Ireland, Chile, Norway, Iceland, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, Bulgaria, Hungary. Kung mapapansin nyo, aside from China and Chile, the rest ay European countries na medyo sophisticated yung kanilang food and agriculture system. Kasi sa kanila, hindi na problema yung volume ng pagkain. Mas gusto na nila yung mga sophisticated type of food. Next ay volume by species. So ito pinag-uusapan natin ay yung share. Ano ba yung mga organic aquaculture species na pinakamarami? So 60.5% are aquatic plants. Then ang pinaka particular lang tayo, kung specific tayo sa aquaculture species, ang pinakamalaki nito 4% ay mussels. Then next is so mussels, sa Filipino ay tahong, and then salmon, sturgeon, carps, rainbow trouts, and others. So ito yung kanyang uh, chart, har- uh, bar graph, I should say. Ito yung kanyang bar graph. Kita nyo na it's really muscles in terms of aquaculture species. Next naman natin, so dito pinag-usapan natin global, pag-usapan natin local. Alam niyo sa Philippines, mga kasama, matagal na itong organic agriculture certification. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang nag-certify nito ay ang BAPS, katuwang ngayon, mas malaking bahagi na ng third party, ng private sector. At medyo mga kasama, panahon pa ni Secretary Alcala noon ng Pinoy administration, medyo malaking pera na ang binuho sa organic agriculture sa Pilipinas. Pero hindi pa ho ganun kalaki ang dami ng mga organic farms. So mahigit na itong 6 na taon at mahigit ng 5 bilyong piso. Mahigit ng 6 na bilyong piso ang pera na inilaan para sa organic agriculture development sa Pilipinas na certified. So far, there are just 22 farms. And these are not big farms na nasa-certify as organic farms sa Pilipinas. So hindi siya ganun karami. At sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang nagbibigay ng nag-monitor at tumutulong sa BAFS to certify these are mismong mga third party or private organic certifiers. So these are the farms. Gusto ko lang ipakita sa inyo, yung mga naka-highlight ho na yellow ay on livestock. Pag walang naka-highlight, walang livestock component sa particular farm na ito. Na meron sa Ilagan, sa Victoria, sa Quezon City, meron ho, di ba? Sa Camsur, sa Nueva Vizcaya. Then ito yung 8th to the 14th na farms. Tapos ito yung 15th to the 22nd. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, hindi ganun karaming farms for the past several years ng certification. At they are located dito sa na-geotag na ng BAFS. At makita niyo, it's more or less spread across the country kahit na yun na nga maliit yung bilang, 22. And these farms are not large farms. So, pag-usapan natin agricultural biotechnology, kita nyo it's growing. Unfortunately, the numbers are not that large yet, globally and even locally. Tapos ang sabi kita natin na isa sa na hindi ginagamit ng organic agriculture is modern biotechnology. Bakit? Because this is their principle. Kasama dun sa principle nila na dapat local, ang production ay local, ang production ayaw nila ng industrial agriculture. So ayaw nila ng agricultural biotechnology not because of safety consideration. Not because of safety consideration. Now we go to the second part, agricultural biotechnology. Kita nyo naman mga kasama, kung patandaan nyo yung ating organic agriculture, ilan globally? 72 million. At malaking bahagi dito ay pastoral or grazing areas. Hindi talaga strictly organic agriculture na tinamnan at inaalagaan as an organic agricultural land, kundi grazing area. Diba? Nakita natin kanina. Sa agricultural biotechnology, mga kasama, it's 190.4 million latest figure ito from ISAA. Ang ISAA, International Service for the Acquisition of Agri-Biotech is an international NGO din at kilalang-kilala sila sa pangangalap ng datos on crop biotechnology. Para ba sila yung katuwang, sila yung katumbas ng FIBL kanina, pinag-usapan natin. So, nagsimula ho ang adoption ng biotech crops in 1996. Tapos 1.7 million, pero it's tremendous ang growth rate ng crop biotechnology. Crop pa lang ho ito, hindi natin nag-uusapan yung ibang gamit ng agricultural biotechnology. So in 2019 it stands at 190.4 million hectares. Tapos it's being grown in 29 countries and 17 being planted by around 17 million farmers. Kung titingnan natin ito sa organic agriculture kanina, this is around 72 million hectares biotech crops grown in several countries by also significant number of farmers. Kasi maraming organic farmers ay small landholding farmers. Tapos global area naman. Industrial versus developing countries. Kasi isa sa binabati ko sa mga critical laban sa biotech farming ay sa biotech agriculture ay ang nakikinabang lang ay yung mga developed countries. Totoo ho yan nung unang mga taon. Ito yung yellow. Ito yung blue line. Nung nagsimula, ang nagtatanim lamang ay yung mga developed countries. Totoo yan. Tulad ng US, Canada, yan yung mga nagtatanim nung mga nagsisimula pa. Kasi ang dinevelop na crops ay yung crops na may pakinabang sila. Tulad ng soybean, tapos later on corn, alfalfa. So sila yung may pakinabang dito. Pero later on mga kasama, nung nakita ng mga developing countries na may pakinabang din sa kanila at malaki yung pakinabang sa kanila, ito yung orange line na makikita nyo. Tingnan nyo, umangat hanggang sa around 2010 naungusan na ng developing countries ang developed countries. Tapos ngayon, mas malaking bahagdan na developing countries ang gumagamit ng biotech crops, biotech planting compared sa developed countries. Tapos ang kanyang cumulative, ito hong green line, 190.4 million hectares. 105.7 million hectares ang sa developing countries at 84.7 million hectares ang sa developed countries. So the next slide would be ito. This is the global biotech crops by regional share and the country areas. So ito yung mga countries na saan itinatanim. Mga kasama, emphasize ko saan itinatanim. Bukod pa dito sa mga bansa na pinapayagan saan pwedeng kainin o pwedeng kainin ng tao o kainin ng kanilang hayupan ang biotech crops. Mas malawak po yan kaysa sa pinapakita kong mapa ngayon. Dito, pinapakita lang natin kung saan pwedeng itanim ang biotech crops. At ito nga, number 1 ang US, Brazil, Argentina, Canada, India, Paraguay, China, South Africa, Pakistan, Bolivia. These are the top 10. Tapos ang Philippines is number 12. Yes. So, close to 0.9 million hectares na tayo. At noong 2019 compared sa 2018, there are 3 new countries noong 2019. Marami sa 3 country ito ay sa Africa. Kasi nakikita nila yung pakinabang ng biotech farming lalo na sa Africa, na ang mahalaga sa kanila, sabi nga natin kanina, ay increase in yield, increase in crop production. Tapos next slide, ito yung top countries that have planted biotech crops. Doon sa mga bansa na nagtanim ng biotech crops, sinapakita ko rito, ilan % ng kanilang total land devoted for that particular crop ang biotech na. So, sa mga halaman, sa mga crops na biotech na, sinasabi rito, around 95% ng mga ng lupa ay inadapt na sa biotech. Doon lamang sa mga sa mga crops na biotech na. Mamaya pag-usapan natin kung ano yung mga crops na ito. Pero 95 sa US, 95% sa US 95% ng kalupaan na ito na devoted na meron ng biotech crops ay devoted na sa modern biotech crops. Sa Brazil 94%, sa Argentina close to 100% biotech na yung kanilang adoption. Sa Canada, 90% at sa India, 94%. Ano itong mga, ano yung mga crops na ito? Yung kanina pinakita natin. So itong mga crops na to, ito yung mga tinatanim nila. Sa North America, US and Canada, ito ay mais, soybean, cotton, canola, sugar beets, alfalfa, papaya, squash, potato, tsaka apples. Magandang kwento ng papaya. Alam nyo ba na ang papaya industry sa US ay nawala na dahil sa problema sa virus ring spot noong 1960s, 1970s. Halos na wipe out na yung kanilang papaya industry. And yet, nung na-develop yung GM papaya na meron siyang resistance laban sa papaya virus, na siya, na naligtas niya ang papaya industry ng Hawaii. At ang maganda pang kwento rito, yung scientist na naka-develop nito ay merong Filipino blood. Filipino descent. Galing no? Sa Latin America naman, ito yung mga countries that have adopted biotech crops. Tapos ano yung biotech crops na tinatanim nila? Soybean, maize, cotton, pineapple, tsaka sugarcane. Doon naman sa Asia and the Pacific, kasama tayo rito, mga kasama ito, Philippines. At sino-sino mga to? India, Pakistan, China, Australia, Myanmar, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia. So, ang mga tinanim ay cotton, corn, canola, eggplant, sugarcane, safflower. Tapos sa EU, ang EU ay sikat na anti-biotech. Ayaw nila ng biotech. Kaya malakas ang organic agriculture doon. Pero may dalawang bansa na nagtatanim sa EU. Ito ay ang Spain and Portugal. And sa Africa, ito yung mga bansa na nagtatanim. Ito yung naka-red, ito yung mga bagong bansa na nagtanim noong 2019, Malawi, Nigeria, Ethiopia. So, ito yung mga tinatanim nila. Corn, soybean, tsaka cotton. Then, ito yung top 4 crops na tinatanim sa buong mundo. These are the top 4 crops. Una muna ay itong green ay ang soybean. Ito yung ginagamit natin sa tofu, sa taho, di ba? So, sa hotdog, kung ito ay merong component ng textured vegetable protein. Karamihan sa ating mga processed meat products ay meron na component ng tinatawag na TVP, textured vegetable protein. Extender ito. At number one ingredient nito ay soybean. At karamihan sa soybean ay genetically modified. So 92 hectares globally, mas marami pa sa total ng organic agriculture ay tinatanim sa taho. Tinatanim sa GM soybean. Tapos around 61% naman ay tinatanim sa GM corn. Tulad sa Pilipinas. So kasama tayo dito sa orange line. Tapos 25.7 million hectares itinatanim sa GM cotton. And ito namang light orange, itong 10.1 million hectares tinatanim naman sa GM canola. Ano yung canola Ito yung ginagawa itong oil seed. Rapeseed ang isa pang tawag dito pag na-process na. So canola. Madalas sa ano ito, North America. So yan ho yung mga apat na crops. Ito rin yung apat na crops, pero gusto pinapakita ng slide na to, ano yung kanyang proportion sa total product, sa total global land. So sinasabi rito ho, there are 30, di ba katulad kanina, sabi natin, 32.4 million hectares. There are 32.4 million hectares. Mga kasama, sinasabi rito na around 80% ng lahat ng pananim sa buong mundo ay GM cotton na. So yung mga jeans natin, yung mga nagli-Levi's, yung mga jeans natin, yung mga damit natin, 80% probability na ang kanyang cotton galing sa GM cotton plant. Tapos mga kasama, around 75% ng soybean sa buong mundo ay around 75% ay GM soybean na. So 3 in every 4. Tapos around 31% ng mais sa buong mundo ay GM corn, and 27% ng lahat ng pananim na canola sa buong mundo ay GM canola. So it's significant. These are the top 4 GM crops adopted globally. Tapos mga kasama, ito yung mga tinatawag nilang biotech crops tsaka yung mga mega countries. Ito yung mga mega countries. Ito yung mga countries na nagtatanim ng more than 50,000 hectares. At we're very happy kasama ang Pilipinas sa mega countries because we're planting close to 0.9 million hectares. At alam niyo, sabi nga kanina ni Dr. Alberto tsaka ng mga iba nag-aaral sa biotech crop adoption sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, meron tayong second wave ng COVID-19 pandemic, no? So, malungkot ang ating karamihan sa natanggap natin na balita ngayon sa bansa natin ay malungkot. Pero may mga success stories so tayo sa ating bansa, mga kasama. At isa sa mga success stories nito ay ang success stories ng ating mga farmers na nagtanim ng biotech corn. Sapagkat ang kanilang buhay ay totoong nabago ng biotech corn. So we're happy na kasama tayo sa mega countries that have adopted biotech corn. So status of approved events, 71 countries. Sabi niyo, bakit 71 countries? Sabi ko sa inyo mga kasama, there are 29 countries na nag-approve for planting. There are 29 countries na nag-approve for planting. But the other countries, hindi niya in-approve for planting, pero in-approve niya na pwedeng ma-import sa country nila para ipakain sa tao, makain ng tao, makain ng hayop, at makain ng hayop. So this is approved. Ang tawag dito ay direct use for food, feed, or processing into food or feed. Sabihin niyo sa akin, bakit? Meron naman ibang countries na there are more than 150 countries, bakit 71 lang? Yung ibang countries naman walang formal approval pero pinapayagan nilang ma-import sa kanila. Maraming countries na ganyan. Walang formal approval pero pinapayagan nilang mag-cross ng kanilang border kahit walang formal approval. So, wala pang 5 countries globally ang may formal ban ng GM crops ng GM import sa kanilang bansa. Wala pang 5 countries. At dun sa 5 countries na to na may formal ban, 3 dito ay hindi naman pinapatupad. Hindi ko na babanggitin sa inyo. So yun. So there are around 4,500 regulatory approvals. So ninyo, ang dami-daming approvals yan. Karamihan dito ipaulit-ulit. Na-approve na sa US, i-approve pa sa Pilipinas, i-approve pa sa ganyan. So there are more than 4,485 approvals. These are scientific dossiers submitted. And there are 32 crops that have been approved. So hindi lang yung 4 na napag-usapan natin kanina. Marami pa yan. So yon. At punta ngayon tayo sa Pilipinas, mga kasama. Doon sa Pilipinas, mga kasama, ay makikita nyo, ito yung adoption sa Philippines. Ang laki ninyo, nasimula tayo magkaroon ng commercial planting noong 2003. So ngayon, closed na tayo. So noong 2019, more than 800,000 metric tons. Malaki ho yan. Bakit color-coded? Ito ay tinatawag, ito lang yung uri ng trait. So yung dark green, ito yung corn natin, GM corn na may panlaban na siya sa insekto, meron pa siyang panlaban sa herbicide para mapuksa niyo yung mga damo. Yun ang ibig sabihin nito. Iba't ibang uri ng katangian. At kita niyo ho, pinakamalaki sa Region 2, lalo na sa Isabela, pero significant din sa ibang regions. At lumalaki, kita niyo rito na lumalaki talaga. Tapos ito naman yung mga halaman, uri ng crop na na-develop bukod dun sa apat. Tignan nyo, ito yung sugar cane. Wala pa ito sa Pilipinas pero meron na ito halimbawa sa Brazil tsaka sa Indonesia. Tapos drought-tolerant sugar cane. Ito insect-resistant sugar cane, ito drought-tolerant. Ito naman non-browning potato. Di ba? Dahil sa acrylamide, dahil sa may component ang potato tsaka apple, na pag na-expose sa air, nagba-brown, minsan ayaw ng kainin ng mga bata. So ito non-browning. Tapos ito naman yung pink pineapple, mataas yung lycopene. Develop na ngayon yan. Tapos ito naman ho ay itong high oleic sa flour. Good oil. Ito naman BT eggplant, approved na sa Bangladesh. May application ngayon sa Pilipinas. Tapos itong low lignin alfalfa. Animal feed, yung alfalfa, yung lignin kasi mahirap i-digest ng hayop. So ito low lignin alfalfa na-approve sa US at sa Canada. Sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tinatawag na Pinoy GMO. Ito yung mga dinevelop sa Pilipinas at ngayon sinusubukan ho natin na ma-aprubahan. Ito, hindi ko alam kung present ni Ma'am May kahapon, pero siya ho yung nag-develop nito, si Ma'am May. Delayed ripening papaya. Matagal bago mabulok. Makikita nyo, itong regular papaya, 14 days after 14 days, bulok na. Pero ito yung delayed ripening papaya ni Ma'am May, ni-develop nila sa UP Los Baños. 14 days na, pero tinan nyo, ang ganda pa tingnan. Delayed ripening. Ang galing. Tapos ito naman BT cotton. Alam nyo, wala na yung ating cotton industry sa Pilipinas. Napuksa ho yan ng peste, ng cotton bollworm. Pero dati sikat na sikat ang textile industry sa Pilipinas noong 1970s, 1980s. Diba? Meron tayong Eurotex, meron tayong Crispa, diba? Kaya nga yun. Pero nasira ang ating cotton industry sa Pilipinas. So ngayon sinusubukan nilang i-revive sa magitan ng BT cotton. Kung nag-succeed sa ibang bansa, sinusubukan sa atin. So ngayon na field trial na ho ito. At these are actual picture ng field trial. Tingnan niyo yung dahon ng BT cotton, malinis compared dun sa dahon ng conventional cotton. Nakain ng peste. And then BT eggplant, sinusubukan din natin na ma-aprobahan sa Pilipinas. Sinidevelop man to ng grupo nila Dr. Desiree Hautea ng UP Los Baños. Actual picture din ho ito. This is conventional cotton and this is conventional cotton. This is BT cotton. Tingnan niyo, napakalinis. At hindi na kailangan sprayan ng pestisidyo. Kaya magtanong kayo, bakit tayo ng organic ng GM crop hindi nga gumagamit ng pestisidyo? So magandang katanungan ho yan. And para sa akin, isa sa pinakamahalagang produkto na dinidevelop ngayon, ang golden rice. Alam nyo, ang isa sa malaking problema ngayon sa Pilipinas ay hindi lang ho ang pagkabulag dahil sa kakulangan ng vitamin A, kundi pati rin yung stunting, saka yung low immunity ng ating mga mahihirap na kababayan. So ang killer disease is vitamin A deficiency. Yan ang VAD. At malaking maitutulong ng golden rice sapagkat ang golden rice meron na ho siyang sariling vitamin A sa kanyang grains. Kaya nga ang kulay niya ay orange. Pero tawag nila ay golden rice. So now it's under approval. Sana makita na ito ay ligtas sa hayop, sa tao, at sa kapiligiran para sa ganyan siya ay ma-approve at magamit na bilang isa sa mga panlaban natin sa Pilipinas laban sa vitamin A deficiency. Tapos mga kasama, coexistence. So, pwede ba ang coexistence between biotech and organic farming? Pwede ba ito? Tignan nyo mga kasama. Pinagsama ko lang dito ang organic farming at GM farming. Ang organic ay ang organic agriculture as a concept nagsimula noong 1920s. Pero nagsimula siyang i-adapt noong mga 1940s. Tapos, nagsimula lang siya umangat noong mga around kita nyo, ito yung blue line. Lalo-lalo na nung mga late 20s, 2000. Doon siya nagsimula umangat hanggang sa kita niyo yung kanyang adoption. So yan yung over the years yan yung adoption ng organic farming. Ito naman tingnan niyo how significant ang adoption rate ng GM crop. Then pinapakita ko rito na ito yung top 10 organic countries sa buong mundo. Ito yung top 10. Tapos yung may yellow arrow, pinapakita ko na ito rin yung mga countries na may significant biotech farming. So pinapakita dito na kahit na ikaw ay bansa na organic growing country, ikaw rin pwede ka rin maging biotech growing country. At kita nyo ang Australia, Argentina, Spain, US, India, China, tsaka Uruguay, ito yung kasama sa top 10 organic countries, ay nagtatanim din ng biotech crops. Tapos medyo luma na itong slide na to, pinakita lang, this is just another representation ito. Tapos, what is coexistence? O pagsasama ng maluwag. So, parang sa mag-asawa, ang pinagsama ay huwag paghiwalayin. Yan. Anong sabi ng European Commission kung saan mismong marami ang organic farming? No form of agriculture, be it conventional, organic, or agriculture using GMOs should be excluded in the EU. Coexistence refers to the ability of farmers to make practical choice between conventional, organic, and GM crops with legal obligations and purity standards. Mismong EU na nagsabi nito kung saan very strong kanilang organic movement. So sabi ng USDA, or coexistence is the concurrent cultivation, sabay na pagtatanim of conventional, organic, identity preserved, and GM crops, consistent with consumer preference and farmer choice. In other words, it is the existence of different types of production methods at the same time and in the same area. So pwede magsama. So why coexistence? Because sabi nga kanina ni Dr. Alberto, gusto natin talaga dito ay sustainable agriculture. Ang laki na ng problema ng global warming or palawakin natin climate change, malaking problema. So malaking magagawa ng organic agriculture. Inaamin natin yan, malaking magagawa ng organic agriculture. Subalit, malaki rin magagawa ng biotech farming. At sabi nga, ang term nga kayo na ginamit ay smart agriculture. Regulatory difference, sabi natin kanina, di ba? Kita nyo, sa Pilipinas, halimbawa, certification system, third party. Tapos, sa organic agriculture, this is process-based. So, meron silang tinakda na standard, so dapat mayang gawin. At dapat mong siguruhin na yung standard na sinabi nila, yun na susundin mo para ma-certify ka na ikaw ay organic agriculture produce. Sa GM crops naman, mga kasama, pinaliwanag sa atin ni Ms. Agbagala kahapon, napaka-stricto. Very, very strict ang safety requirement. Alam niyo kung mapupunta kayo sa Bureau of Plant Industry para makita yung sinasubmit na technical dossier, kahon-kahon, parang balikbayan boxes. So, ganoon karami yung safety consideration. So sa GM crops, this is assessed based on safety. At marami pang ahensya, hindi lamang ang BPI. Nandiyan ang DOST, DNR, DOH, DILG, tsaka independent scientist. However, by law, organic agriculture specifically rejects use of GMOs. Kaya ngayon kailangan natin ng proseso para mapigilan ang admixture or cross pollination para hindi masama ang GM crop sa organic agriculture. Hindi dahil sa safety, kundi sa marketing issue. Ulitin ko, hindi dahil sa safety, kung hindi ito yung tinatakda para sa organic agriculture, para sa gayon, ma-certify sila as organic at mabenta nila yung kanilang produce as organic. So marami na akong pamamaraan para magkaroon ng coexistence. Either na number one, paano yung coexistence? Different planting times. Kunyari, yung isa, parehong magtatanim, magtatanim kayo ng same species ng corn. Magtatanim ka ng organic tsaka GM corn. Pwede naman yan. Paano nyo matatanim na walang admixture, walang commingling? Ang ginagamit ng term ng iba ay contamination, but I don't like to use that term kasi negative. So, anong magagawa para mapigilan yung admixture? Pwede yung different planting times. Kung isa ay itanim mo yung organic mo sa dry season, itanim mo naman yung GM corn mo sa wet season. Yan ang ibig sabihin yan, number one. Number two, use of buffer zones. Magtanim kayo ng physical crop na pagitan ng dalawang planting system, pagitan ng biotech at organic. Yan tawag dyan, buffer zones. Number three, sufficient distance between farms. Or sa term natin ngayon, magkaroon ng social distancing. Yung isang farm mo, yung organic, ilayo mo. O yung GM corn mo, ilayo mo sa yung organic farm kahit sabay mo itinanim. Pero malayo, kahit walang buffer. Physical isolation, halimbawa itanim mo isa sa isang island, tapos yun, may physical isolation. Pero pinakamahalagang concept, pinakamahalagang practice, dapat may pag-uusap between neighbors. Kung isa organic farmer, isa biotech farmer, mag-usap sila paano nila mapapatupad itong 1 to 4. So next, mga kasama, ito yung principles of coexistence. Nabanggit ko na po yan, pero this is just making this formalized. Tapos, itong mga sinabi ko kanina, yan, nagagawa na ho yan sa buong mundo. Ginagawa niyan. So these are just the examples. So ito, pinapakita na ito, yung standards kung magkakaroon ka ng border rows. Halimbawa ito, sa GM tsaka organic corn. Ito yung standard nila na dapat ipatupad kung gusto mo magkaroon ng border row para sa pagitan ng GM tsaka organic corn. Ito naman, halimbawa, ito yung isolation distance sa EU. Kung gusto mong magtanim ng organic tsaka ng non-organic. So pinapakita ko lang itong mga slides na to na hindi lang ho yan teorya. It's being done in practice. So pwede yan. Ito rin naman sa US, ipinapakita din ho na yung planting dates, pwede yung paghiwalayin. Hindi lamang yung physical distance at saka physical isolation, pwede rin yung planting dates. Basta alam niyo lang kung kailan pwedeng itatanim at huwag itanim. Tapos, this is an actual example. So meron kayong rice field under field trial, tapos meron kayong conventional coconut, tapos meron kayong organic banana. Pwede silang magtabi. Tignan nyo? Kasi iba't iba naman yung species nila. Tapos iba't iba naman yung kanilang mode of pollination. So pwedeng pagtabihin. At pwedeng ma-certify itong banana na organic kahit na katabi niya ay GM rice tsaka conventional coconut. This is my last slide. Ito, napakagandang libro nito. Bakit siya maganda? Bukod sa maganda yung kanyang sinulat, ito ay mag-asawa. Si Pamela Ronald is a geneticist. At tapos si Raul Adamchak is an organic farmer. Mag-asawa sila. Tapos pinractice nila yung kanilang advocacy, organic farming, tsaka genetic agriculture. Pinractice nila. Ito, they come up with a book na New York Times bestseller. At ang ganda-ganda ng review sa kanya. I hope kung may pagkakataon kayo, makita niyo itong libro ito. So with that, Michi, I'm back to you. Salamat.
Thank you so much po, Doc, sa inyo pong napaka-wonderful na presentation about organic agriculture, which is a holistic production management system which promotes and enhances agro-ecosystem health, about sa World Organic Aquaculture, Pinoy GMOs, Golden Rice, and coexistence of among organic banana and other products po or anong tawag doon? Yan po. Thank you so much, Doc. Okay. So, let's proceed na po sa ating last speaker or last presenter in today's session. She pursued her college education at the CLSU. She obtained bachelor's degree in animal husbandry in 1984 and Doctor of Veterinary Medicine in 1986. Afterwards, she pursued graduate studies at Hokkaido University, Sapporo, Japan, under the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Science, and Sports Scholarship Program. She obtained her Doctor of Philosophy in Veterinary Medicine in 2002, and Dr. Atabay took a postdoctoral study at the Center of Regenerative Biotechnology at the University of Connecticut, USA, in 2008. She was likely awarded the Fulbright Advanced Research Scholarship Program, and she was conferred the rank of Scientist 1 under the Scientific Career System of the DOST in June 2014. Dr. Atabay is a prolific researcher who has authored and co-authored numerous scientific publications in animal reproductive biotechnology and reproduction, with water buffaloes as the main animal commodity. Dr. Atabay's dedication in her field has earned her several scientific awards. She is currently the OIC of Research Development and Extension Division here at PCC, National Headquarters and Gene Pool. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the agricultural biotechnology of the future, please join me in welcoming Dr. Eufrosina P. Atabay. Morning po, Doc.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mitch, for that very generous introduction of me. So, to all our virtual participants, magandang buhay at magandang araw po sa ating lahat. So, today po, I understand that most of our listeners are expected to be the biotech regulators. And today, I am going to present about the agricultural biotechnology in livestock, particularly. And so to begin with, okay. So let me just refresh you with our agency about the Philippine Carabao Center. So PCC is an attached agency of the Department of Agriculture and was created by virtue of Republic Act 7307, otherwise known as the Philippine Carabao Act of 1992. And PCC is also the lead agency in livestock biotechnology in the Department of Agriculture by virtue of Administrative Order Number 9 Series of 2008. And we took pride in our being an integrated management system certified government agency. And the main banner or the banner program of PCC, we call it the Carabao Development Program. And it has three major components: genetic improvement, the buffalo-based industry, and yes, the research and development. which is the center of my topic for this morning. And being one of our major mandates under the Caraba Development Program is to undertake researches in various disciplines. So namely, breeding and genetics, reproduction and physiology, animal health, biosafety, animal nutrition, and product development. And we also work on the socioeconomics and policy research. So through the years, the main research activity of PCC is being able to transform the Philippine Carabao from being just a draft animal to also become the source of meat and milk. So it's basically keeping our mandate to be able to create a buffalo-based enterprise for additional income of the farming community. But buffalo, being a dairy animal also, is able to contribute significantly in the total volume of milk produced locally. So it's just growing and growing, and in lately or in 2019, it is contributing around 35% of the overall volume produced locally. And of course, the major contributor is cattle. So by the way, the buffalo population as of 2021 is around 2.9 million. And that's why we are also challenged to contribute more and more to agricultural productivity, and especially food availability and sustainability, and now a very huge or strong program on milk feeding program that really requires a volume of milk. We are also in keeping with the 1DA agenda, which is transforming the Philippine agriculture. Let me present to you the key strategies. So actually, there are 16 of them, and they are further grouped into major key strategies, namely the consolidation, modernization, industrialization, and professionalization. So you please take note that one of the key strategies is the use of modern technology and innovation towards a food secure and resilient Philippines. So this is just to emphasize that we have to increase the carabao or livestock productivity to be able to create dairy-based enterprise. And research and innovation hold the key to food resiliency, especially during this pandemic and the food crisis we're facing. So our main strategy, therefore, is actually the combination of the use of technologies, the conventional technologies, or just improvement on it, and as well as the advantage or the use of more advanced technology. And this is with the aim of increasing to the food security challenge. Now at this point, allow me to present to you the different areas or disciplines of the research for development that we are pursuing here at Philippine Carabao Center with application to other livestock too. So the first is on the reproduction and physiology. So as we know, in line with the call for a modern technology for a more massive and faster progress in livestock production, we are employing this recently, the Intensified Reproductive Program. So in here, we emphasize the timing of AI, more enhanced program using the modern technology of ultrasonography, even in our reproduction activities. And of course, there is the conduct of early pregnancy diagnosis. So we are emphasizing that for a precise timing of AI, because precision in agriculture is that what we are aiming for in order to improve productivity. So basically, the technique of reproduction is towards timing of fertilization and AI insemination. We are also into other technologies. We call this maybe the multiple ovulation and embryo transfer to capitalize on the good genetics. And then, yes, at some point, we were engaged in this, the cloning by somatic cell nuclear transfer. So I would like to emphasize that doing the cloning by somatic cell nuclear transfer is not really engagement on GMO. Yeah, I can further tell this later. And then other is the ovum pickup and in vitro embryo production. And we also are doing oocyte and embryo cryopreservation, and then the semen evaluation and freezing. And the latest of all is, I think this is the most exciting one, is the use of the semen sexing technology, wherein this will allow us the production of predominantly female animal for dairy and predominantly male animal for meat. So our program, one innovative program in reproduction is, we called it the Intensified Reproductive Management Program. We developed in 2014, and we call it the Triple E strategy. So first E refers to the enhancing pregnancy rate using different breeding techniques. And then the early pregnancy diagnosis using the ultrasound and other pregnancy test kits. And then if not pregnant, they should be rebreed immediately. And I would like to emphasize that in the conduct of all these technologies, we are anchored on the understanding on the science of reproduction or ovarian physiology. So just to give you an idea of our artificial insemination, and I think many of you are familiar with this. Yeah, in Tagalog ay yung bilikas na pagpapalahi. So this is we had been using this for the longest time. So this is a simple protocol. We simply use the prostaglandin injection to induce estrus. So, buffalo is known for a silent heat, and it just base the insemination on the external manifestation or natural basis of heat. It's just difficult, and it will end up to a very low pregnancy rate. So that's why we are inducing using the hormones. So in here, induce it on day 0, and after 3 days, the animal is expected to be in estrus. But the pregnancy is just 15 to 20. And yeah, with our intensified reproductive management program, of course, we are involving the fixed time AI. I hope you are already hearing this around. It uses the additional hormones, no? So initially, we simply use the prostaglandin to, induce the estrus. But in here, we are using the cystoridine or a hormone to ensure the ovulation to take place. So that's why it is increasing. So other innovations, yes, as we progress in our work, we were able to increase our efficiency. So you see here, these are the ovary of the buffalo cattle, I should say, and we focus on the structures present. And yeah, this is the ultrasound picture of a follicle which is about to ovulate. So based on the size, we determine the timing of insemination. So this is what I'm saying about the somatic cell nuclear transfer. So we were doing this maybe in the last 5 years ago, and this is to capitalize on the a very good genetics. So when you say somatic cell, this is involving reproductive cell aside from the oocyte or the sperm being put together. But in here, it involves the recipient oocyte. So, and then the donor, what we call this, cell. So in here, we just remove the DNA material and replace it with just replacing it the nuclear material of the superior buffalo. So basically, there is no engineering or deletion or insertion done here. And our main purpose is actually just to reproduce our super buffaloes, producing maybe 15 liters a day. And because of some limitations and the complexity technically and the availability of oocytes, Dali, he was created or after maybe thousands of oocytes, but we don't have that. So we transferred also, but it just reached the early pregnancy. So now the essence of cloning or somatic cell nuclear transfer in us is not as a reproductive cloning, but application in cryobanking for the price or genetically or for endangered species. So if ever we do this, it's basically for genetic conservation. And again, this is not a GM protocol or technique. So I was saying that the most exciting development is the semen sexing technology. And they said it might be in the future, we'll be using the futuristic is the super semen. And why I'm saying this, because we will, yes, the semen sexing technology will actually allow us to separate the semen or the Y chromosome bearing sperm from X chromosome bearing sperm. And this is basically to the differences in the DNA content. So sabi nila, yung X sperm daw is about 4% higher than the male. So this is how the process goes. So ini-stain po yung semen sample and then allowed to pass through the laser. And then depending on the degree of illumination or the charge, positive, dito po pupunta yung mga X chromosome bearing sperm, and then yung mga negatively charged, or less illuminated semen or sperm goes to the Y container, and the waste one. So also there is a receptacle for that. So just remember that individually the sperm has to go through this technique just to have our sex semen. This is for dairy, and sex semen for meat. So yan po yung major advantage na we will have to look aabangan po ninyo yan because the Department of Agriculture has allotted the funding for this, and hopefully we are looking at its operationalization by 2022 here at the Philippine Carabao Center. So advantageous po ito kasi yung ating isa-subject dito na mga animals na ay genetically select or superior, and then naka-adapt na po sa ating local conditions. So this is one, I think, of the most interesting development in the field of livestock. So yan po yung sabi ko si super semen. No? Now, of course, as I mentioned, we also have a strong program in genetic research cryobanking. And in here, this is our facility wherein the cryopreserved semen, cattle, buffalo, goat, as well as embryos, oocytes, and DNA materials are kept for research and reproduction purposes. And also, one of our major activity is be able to do whole genome sequencing of the Philippine swamp buffalo. So ito naman po, I just mentioned about the reproduction and physiology. So ngayon naman po ay ang breeding and genetics. So actually, tandem po talaga ang breeding and genetics and reproduction. So the breeding and genetics is the one that dictates what to multiply. So ensuring that they are really superior. So we do genomic selection and we do breeding programs, particularly for specific breeds, and then for young animals, or either depending on the traits for milk as well as for meat. And then recently we resorted to genetic screening for buffaloes. So developing breeds with genetic or thermotolerance, and then these are the particular traits that we are after to in our selection. Those are with disease resistance or also heat resistant animals. And then also we look into the traits for the milk. So this is particularly the beta casein, giving us healthier and premium milk. And then some we're ensuring that the genetics of the calves or offspring that is produced by doing some parentage testing verification. And we are also being a biotech, having a mandate to do biotech in other livestock too. Yeah, we are developing a screening protocol in swine. So specifically screening for fertility genes and to increase the number of piglets. So especially these days, this has become so relevant. And then resistance to bacilla or E. coli infection, and other screening for other genetic defects to increase productivity. And of course, the breed development, especially to generate the Philippine dairy. So as of now, we are already producing Philippine dairy animals. So this is through our continuous breeding with our pure native buffalo. So at the end, as I was saying, the frozen semen from genomically tested or DNA proven bulls. So ito na po yung sinasabi kong the super semen. So those are in the breeding in genetics. So ito po yung mga recent innovations from produced by that section. So this we call it the Verisire, and then we are applying actually for trademark. So this is a parentage testing, a verification kit. So the very importance of this is to establish an accurate pedigree database for animal traceability. And the most important economic is an animal with known identity is with high economic value, with known pedigree, with known parents. So another in terms of trait for milk, this is healthier. We were able to develop this A2 choice test kit. No? So it's screening for this particular A variant, A2. This is a protein in that particular animal. Again, we are also in the swine. We give one of our important innovation product is this test, screening test for proliferacy in swine to increase the number of pigs per sow per year. And then also the quality of meat. I think generally we are pursuing for an animal with some kind of marbling quality of meat. So not only in pork or in pig, but also in buffalo and perhaps in cattle too. So that's for the breeding in genetics. So now let me bring you to the next discipline, the animal nutrition, or we call this production management section. No? So basically they are in charge of the nutritional status of our buffaloes and animals. And they have to develop some feeding system, particularly for particular age group and for lactating, and then also development of probiotics as feed supplement. So we're not just into the technologies, but they use also some probiotics or some microbial organism to enhance feed quality. And then we also basic is the evaluation of the rumen microorganism that will enhance the digestion and productivity. So specifically po, we are into coming up with total mix ration. So ito po yung mga formulated balanced feed ration. And then, of course, it should be able to improve milk production and reduce the feed cost. And specific product po is the supplementation, urea, mineral molasses black. This to increase the digestion of roughage and as possible source of protein, energy, and minerals to water buffalo. So we had this multi-nutrient leaf pads So nililik lang po yan ng ating mga animals. And then also, particularly with the Lactobacillus inoculant, we call this the buru booster. So this is a silage additive. This is Lactobacillus is a lactic acid forming bacteria to improve fermentation and the quality of the silage. So this buru booster is also decreasing the spoilage of the silage spoilage and improve generally the quality at the end. And also we have the rice straw technology, which is the main main food or feed of our buffaloes. So we are trying to enhance it through our certain technology. We have here projects focused just on rice straw. So in here, I just want to show you those products which are under animal nutrition innovation. So this is the Buru Booster, and then we are showing how to apply this in the field with our silage producers. So we are also able to roll this out to our farmers. And we are into the commercialization to be able to enhance the utilization of this technology in especially with our silage producers. So in here, another product is the black maize, and this is basically a mineral supplementation, especially for our dairy animals. Again, a source of protein, energy, and minerals. And this is said to increase the digestion of rapid. And again, this is being rolled out to our farmer cooperatives, especially during the height of pandemic. We were able to provide them for their livelihood. And yes, the composition are the rice bran, and most importantly, the phosphate and mineral mix. So ito po yun, black maize. So again, ito po yung sinasabi ko na the rice straw. So it's instead of just burning this, maging environment friendly pa tayo, or concern on the environment. So we try to come up with an enhanced or enriched rice straw. And so this is the process. This is a baled rice straw. And again, it involved the physical and chemical enhancement. So as I was saying, again, the minerals, the molasses are also being incorporated to enrich the quality of this feedstock. Now, let's go to the animal health, and this is ensuring the general health status of our animals. And through different animal health programs specifically for different ages, we were able to come up with that. For example, for calves, for adults, or and other programs specific, the mastitis program, fasciola program, and this is to be able to sustain or ensure a disease-free animals to sustain productivity and minimize the mortality, the sickness or morbidity. And of course, we must, the animal health section or the biosafety is also responsible for developing control and preventive management program. And particularly, they are also working on zoonotic diseases in order to prevent transmission of disease to human and then vice versa. In particular, we focus on the tuberculosis, brucellosis, and leptospirosis. So we have an ongoing research and development collaboration with DAAs or other research institutions with regards to these zoonotic diseases, control and prevention. And then, of course, that will also involve the development of different diagnostic tests, the more sensitive and rapid and reliable ones using the PCR and the LAMP method for application in the field. And nowadays, we are into the nanotechnology-based test, which is more sensitive. And this is to both responsive to the current or emerging or re-emerging diseases. So all these diagnostic tests. And we are also ensuring the safety by being able to develop the kits to detect mycotoxins, heavy metals in meat and milk samples. As I was saying, even the control of emerging diseases and the reported evidence of COVID infection in livestock or animals are also being looked into and considered in our animal health program. So again, these are just to emphasize a product of research in animal health. We were able to come up with this diagnostic test. We call this the KF, K-prime arthritis encephalomyelitis virus. So this is a very important test, especially for the goats. So goat industry is getting more significant, or so there's really a need for this kit. And normally we are developing an affordable and quick test for our farmers. So it's more on the colorimetric and easy to do tests in the field. So we're also working on the scaling or the commercialization of this product of animal health section. So in here, I will be presenting also the product processing and development. So as one of the output of our production system, being able to produce healthy and productive animals, the products, the ultimate products are the milk and meat. So we are ensuring first and foremost the safety of this by developing some standards for as our reference to ensure the food safety and of course lately one major objective of the section is to develop carbo-based technologies and products. So the usual ones are the pasteurized milk, the choco milk, and the sesame puti and yogurt. So we already have a big outlet, the dairy back for all these products, and we have to produce more and more products in line with our participation to the RA a milk breeding program known as RA 1103 with DipEd and DSWD. So this is a bigger challenge for us. And another, recently, in the time of COVID, we were able to come up with this Milky Ban. Ito po yung ating dating Nutriban. So it's basically buffalo a bread enriched with buffalo milk. And now this is also being used as an alternative food for the milk feeding program because of its longer shelf life. So there are other innovations or technology that we develop for our farmers to ensure the milk quality. For example, in here, the cooling of milk in using a salt ice mixture in the insulated bag. So nagagamit na po ito na very practical at na to be able for our farmers to further market their milk. We do regular sampling of the milk in the especially with our farmers. So we conduct regular training on the new technology as well as the quality. So just to give you some important products developed by our product development and innovation section. I was saying this is the Milky Ban, and then other is the dairy candies, the Milky Pot, and then the Newgort, a combination of coconut milk with yogurt, buffalo yogurt. And then also we are in partnership with the San Miguel Corporation Pampanga with regards to producing an sterilized milk, which is a longer shelf life for to provide the milk feeding, especially in far areas. So those are our dairy products. And yes, this in line with that, the technology of the Milky Ban, we are extending it to our cooperators, to our farmers, and through collaboration with the Department of Agrarian Reform and Department of Trade and Industry, we were able to come up with some bakeries, and there, so this is basically here at TCC, and we do training aside from the regular production of this dairy or Milky Ban. And also, of course, one of our major, okay, let me just mention also that recently we are into more work or more effort also in our meat products. So that's why we have already strengthened our meat development program from buffalo. So that will be something that we have to look forward to in sooner. So because of also that's one way of addressing the problem of the protein in line with the ASF outbreak. So soon we will be launching some of our meat products. And of course, we are also concerned of addressing the concerns on and problems on climate change, adaptation and mitigation. And as we recognize that, okay, our buffalo or livestock production is affected by some climate change. And the other way around, the livestock production is also affecting environment. So we have to address both ways. So along with that, in line with that, here are our programs or innovations pushing that we are working on right now. So involve the development of integrated waste management system for dairy farms, and then the biogas production to manage and to provide the cooling system actually for our buffalo farms. And then we have to look into the mitigating the effect of the climate change by providing the cooling facilities, and then the proper climate climate proof housing for our buffalo. So in here, we are working on developing a climate smart production system. And another related activity on the climate change adaptation is our being able to develop genetic screening for genes associated with thermotolerance, both in cattle and bovine breeds in the Philippines. And then, of course, establishment of model farm for integrated waste management. So this is also a big issue. Waste management, the manure management, the how are we polluting the soil or the environment. So this is well taken care of under our program. And yes, of course, in reproduction too, we are developing a climate resilient reproductive management program. So this is a very broad program, but we focus on how could we mitigate the effect basically of the livestock production in our environment. So I guess that's basically all about giving you just a perspective of the different, the R&D or R4D program of PCC with regards to not only in buffalo, but in overall livestock for its greater production. So in response, we are confronted with the challenges of this new normal situation. And that's why we are emphasizing the aggressive translation of our research to innovation. So in here, I am just presenting the pathway of how we address. So of course, we have to start with a very robust R4D program, meaning that we focus on the research with application, with use to the industry. And this is basically an applied research. And in so doing, this will lead to the generation of technologies. And basically, the technologies ultimately will be able to produce those innovations and trends which I somehow presented, and specifically the products and the services that we do. So innovations must not necessarily should be new, but you can innovate on something already existing and then just make it a little improvement for and then of improvement in our services, especially to our clients. And then all these innovations, yeah, recently the PCC is also active in technology transfer activities. So that is, we must be, because this is the major strategy in order to translate research into a public good. Or so technology transfer, I mean here, the deployment free of our technologies and innovations. We do training, we transfer to our, we have a program here, the farmer livestock, something training. And then another way of the transfer is the extension, wherein we do AI services, because we cannot transfer that to our farmers. So we do ourselves to be able to serve. And then of course, another is the commercialization. So we are also subscribing into the Technology Transfer Act of Republic Act 155 of 2008. So that's why some of our technologies are really has the potential for commercialization. And this is also a way of providing incentives to our dynamic and researchers as inventors. So maybe some of our technologies are worth commercializing. And I believe this is towards enhancing the reach of our technology to the clients, to the public, and to the industry as a whole. And of course, our ultimate aim for this, in line or with the current challenge of the new the COVID pandemic and the meat prices, the food prices. So we should be able to actually contribute to food security, sustainability, and resiliency. And again, our aim is enhance or greater service to our clients, industry, and general public. So that is our main strategy, research for development. So I guess that's all for my presentation, and I hope you are able to learn and take some messages or learnings from the presentation I did. So for more information, you can, here's my email address, and then the Research and Development Division also have this, the Facebook page, PCC Research Trends and Innovation. So I guess that's all for today, and thank you for your interest, attention, and for listening.
And thank you so much po, Dr. Atabay, for your enlightening presentation about the improvement of conventional technologies with the use of advanced technologies has resulted to increasing the food security, the triple E strategy, cloning by somatic cell nuclear transfer, cement sexing technology, DNA tests to screen animals with their marbling quality meat, in which rice straw produces valuable feedstock and more. Thank you so much for the.
My pleasure.
So before we proceed po sa ating open forum, I would like to say thank you po ulit sa ating mga participants from the Department of Agriculture Regional Field Office 2, DARFO 5, DARFO 8, DARFO 12, DARFO CAR or Cordillera Administrative Region, DA Bureau of Animal Industry, DA Philippine Carabao Center, DA Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, DA Quirino Experiment Station, DARFO 2 Nueva Vizcaya Experiment Station, Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, Environmental Management Bureau, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Health, Food and Drug Administration, International Service for the Acquisition of Agri-Biotech Applications, DOH, Biosafety Committee, Central Luzon State University, United States Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Service, and DA Biotechnology Program Office. Thank you po sa inyong lahat. And now, let's proceed na po sa ating open forum. And with that po, I would like to introduce again our moderator for our open forum. He is currently working as Head of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology Laboratory and Associate 5, Professor 5 at the Department of Biological Sciences, College of Science, Central Luzon State University. Let us all welcome Dr. Jerwin R. Undan. Morning po, Doc.
Good morning, Mitch. Good morning to all, to our speakers and to all our participants. Thank you for the kind introduction, Mitch. We are now in the second day of the seminar, and we will now have the open forum regarding the topic presented by Dr. Alberto, Dr. Manalo, and Dr. Atabay. Good morning po, Dr. Alberto, Ma'am Annie. Good morning po, Dr. Manalo and Dr. Bean. Do you hear me clear po, loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. Morning.
Okay, good morning po. The first question po is addressed to Dr. Alberto, kay Ma'am Annie. How does climate change affect livestock production?
Actually, in terms of the impacts on the climate change, on the livestock production. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Actually, there's only a few studies regarding the livestock impacts. Particularly, this will involve pest incidents in the livestock. So they said that there will be occurrence of new pests and diseases that will affect the livestock. That is only few studies with regards to livestock impacts, as well as pest distribution with regards to the livestock. More of the studies and more of the experiences of the farmers pertains to the crops, impacts on the crops.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. This question is addressed to Dr. Manalo, sir.
Okay, Dr. Undan.
How do organics can be used by farmers to fertilize crops and control pests, control diseases, and weeds?
Salamat, Dr. Undan. So, marami hong mga organically based na pesticides and fertilizers being used by organic certification, by the organic certifiers that they are promoting. And these are being used nga by the 22 farming communities that have been certified by the BAFS. Marami po yan. So long as na hindi siya, number one, hindi siya gumagamit ng synthetic fertilizer, meaning chemical-based fertilizer. Number two, hindi siya gumagamit ng synthetic pesticide. Tapos pangatlo, hindi ho gumagamit ng GM seeds and products. At yan yung tatlong basic na hindi ho pinapahintulutan ng organic certification bodies. Pero even within the organic certifying bodies, hindi pa ho sila settled doon sa ibang bagay na ayaw nilang isama. For example, ngayon nauuso ang urban agriculture, at sa urban agriculture nagiging sikat ang hydroponics. Ito yung paggamit, di ba yung hydroponics, ito yung vertical farming system na gumagamit ito ng tubig, tapos styrofoam or other quote-unquote synthetic material as base. So may mga organic advocates na nagsasabi na dapat na hindi pwedeng gumamit ng hydroponics for organic agriculture. Lalo na hindi gumagamit ng natural soil ang hydroponics. But that is still a discussion among the organic movements, dun sila ho settled sa hindi paggamit na, ulitin ko na tatlo ha, synthetic fertilizer, synthetic pesticide, and GM. And with the use of non-synthetic fertilizer, organic, ng paggamit ng organic pesticide, marami ho yan. From the use of manure that has been cleansed to the use of organic materials. For example, Bacillus thuringiensis, tinatawag na dipel. So marami ho yan. Gumagamit talaga sila ng many pesticide products that are quote-unquote organic in nature.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Dr. Manalo. Meron po tayong katanungan from Anonymous kay Dr. Atabay po. What are the roles of animal biotechnology in the improvement of animal genetics?
As I mentioned a while ago, that we have different programs, genetic improvement programs, specifically for dairy, for meat, and we have the conventional selection system, like the pedigree based on the records and the performance like that. But nowadays we are into the genomic selection, meaning that you're able to shorten the year or the age by which you can detect which animal is best for meat as early as maybe 1 year or even several months. So this is avoiding the management and of those unwanted things. So basically, we do the genomic selection. The genetic improvement is faster and accelerated, and yeah, of course, it will enhance our productivity. So genomic selection na po ang in combination, of course, with other conventional. Of course, we have to also validate that with the performance. So yun po, very strong, especially for the buffalo genetic improvement program.
Okay, Doc Dean, thank you very much. Another question, Anonymous po, from Anonymous. So to Dr. Alberto. Ma'am, how far can biotechnology be applied to help regulate or mitigate climate change?
Okay, so from the discussion that we had this morning, we said that there are GMO crops that really mitigate climate change. And I have enumerated to you all of those agricultural biotechnology that could help mitigate climate change, and also those agricultural biotechnology products that could more or less, they use those products in order for them to see that these products and this type of biotechnology can mitigate climate change. And these are being used in USA and in other countries that use the GMO crops, no? And in terms of traditional biotechnology, we have also what we call techniques or tools or this technology that could mitigate climate change, like for example, the use of biodiversity-based farming or the agroforestry. These are conventional or traditional biotechnology that could more or less mitigate climate change, and also those technologies that could lessen the greenhouse gas emissions. Kasi po pag sinabi nating mitigation, ito po yung nakaka-reduce ng greenhouse gas emission, particularly po yung pag-sequester ng carbon dioxide. So, di po ba napag-aralan natin basta halaman Dahil through the process of photosynthesis, nagkukuha po ito ng carbon dioxide. So naturally po, pag marami tayong halaman at marami tayong puno, meron tayong polyculture, meron tayong biodiversity-based farming, ibig sabihin po niyan, isa itong mechanism para po ma-reduce natin ang greenhouse gases at yan po ang tinatawag nating climate change mitigation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alberto. One question po for Dr. Manalo. What's the importance of animal biotechnology for animal production in organic agriculture?
Salamat, Dr. Undan. Kung naintindihan ko yung tanong, paano magamit ang livestock biotechnology for animal production in organic agriculture? So, ang assumption ng tanong ay pwedeng gumamit ng animal biotech sa organic agriculture. Unfortunately, sabi ko nga ho, ay yung mga organic agriculture certifiers at pati yung standards na in-adopt sa Pilipinas does not allow, particular for organic livestock, does not allow by GM breeds saka GM species. So doon pa lang ho, meron ng disconnect, meron ng dichotomy. Very strong ang advocacy ng organic agriculture proponents na hindi gumamit ng biotech material. So sinabi kanina ni Dr. Atabay yung mga gamit ng biotechnology for livestock production. Ang daming exciting na developments, napakadami ho. Kulang nga isang araw para sabihin itong mga exciting developments. Unfortunately, Dr. Undan, hindi ho natin ito magagamit kung ang gagamitin yung production system ay organic agriculture.
Okay, well said, Dr. Manalo. So another question po for Dr. Bing Atabay. Do you have plans to include the goat commodity for your R&D projects, particularly on reproduction and physiology discipline?
Yes, very good question. So actually po, being a livestock biotech, although we are a single commodity in Buffalo, but we are mandated to do the livestock biotech, so it's included po sa ruminants, the goat. So right now, actually that's my field, reproduction. We are doing also this technology, both the conventional as well as the modern technology for goat, especially for dairy or sa goat. So practically naman yung mga technologies ay cut across species. So cattle, goat, and buffalo.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. By the way po, that question is from Sir Gary Diasis from the ARFO8. So we don't have any other question po from the participants. Anyone from our participants? We have still time. Okay, so I think that's it for our open forum. Okay, from now, may I ask, or may we have the MC to take charge for the remainder of the program for today. Thank you all, and God bless. God bless po. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerwin. Thank you to
ma'am.
all.
Dr. B, Ma'am
everyone.
Annie, Dr. Manado, thank you po.
Thank
Salamat,
you.
Dr. Undan.
Thank you po.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Doc Undan, and to our speakers, and of course to our participants for the very informative discussion during our open forum. And now po, let's proceed na po to the awarding of certificates. So we have the OST and our City Division 13, the ABPO, PCC, LBC, present this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Annie Melinda Paz Alberto for her time and expertise as a resource speaker during the Livestock Biotechnology Center virtual seminar workshop on GM animals for Philippine Biotech Regulators on March 17 to 19, 2021, undersigned by Dr. Claro N. Mingala, Chief of Livestock Biotechnology Center at Philippine Carabao Center, and undersigned as well by Dr. Ronnie D. Domingo, OIC Executive Director of the Philippine Carabao Center. Thank you po, Doc Paz Alberto.
Thank you so much.
And this is to present this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Abraham J. Manalo. Thank you din po, Doc Manalo.
Salamat, Mitch. Maraming salamat.
And this is to present this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Eufrosina P. Atabay. Thank you po, Doc Atabay.
Welcome all the time.
So, the closing part of the second day of our webinar series has come, and we couldn't have done this successfully without our participants and speakers who spared their time attending this workshop session. The awarding of certificates for the participants will be given on the last day of the session. Thank you everyone for participating in today's workshop session. And for tomorrow po, we still have two important presentations for tomorrow's session. Please join us to complete our webinar series and receive your certificate of completion for tomorrow. Same time po, 8 a.m. Up to 8:15 for our signing. And we will see you po tomorrow again. And okay. So ngayon po, invite ko po kayong lahat na mag-open po ng camera for our photo session po. Thank you po.
Wala na.
So,
Wala naman.
okay pa. 1, 2, 3. Isa pa po. 1,
Okay.
2, 3 po. Yan. Thank you so much po.
Welcome. Thank you so much, then.
Okay. So, ayun po.
Thank
On
you,
behalf
ma'am.
of Livestock Biotechnology Center and PCC po, thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you so much po, Ma'am Annie, Sir Jerwin,
Thank you.
Sir Abby, Doc B, thank you so much po. Sa ating po mga participants, sign in po tayo maaga bukas. Thank you so much.